Okay, guys, so we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly... Ooh, what am I going to be? Starfleet Command? That seems pretty presumptuous. I'm going to be your friendly Dabo dealer, because today we are carrying on. We're going to be returning to a game we have been playing a couple of times recently on the channel, and that is Modiphius Entertainment's Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition. We have played a couple of one-shots of the 1st edition before and enjoyed those. I've been enjoying 2nd edition, reading it quite a bit, and we played a couple of pickups without preparation, so we thought, you know, let's do something wild and actually prepare a session, and then try playing it instead of just opening a book and reading as we go. So that's what we're doing today, and I'm joined by two stalwart players who are taking on the mantle of some Starfleet crew members. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing today? First up, we've got Graham.
Hi, I'm Graham, and I'm going to be playing Captain Eric Schaffer.
Very nice. And joining him is Darren.
Yeah, Darren here. I'm playing Ensign Elsa Ventura, who is a human navigator. Very
nice. Now, we are starting a little past the start time just because we were going over some rules stuff. And, one thing I did not mention, too, the Riel herself has a separate character sheet. The thing we're going to be using that for is for assist die. When you are able to make use of the computers, the sensors, whatever else on the ship, you just will be able to make use of that and roll 1 die. Unfortunately, the dice roller for the ship will not let you roll 1 dice. You always rolls 2, so we just take the one on the left as the result for it. The results will be fine. It just will not go below 1 for whatever reason. What I'm going to suggest, because we've got 2 players, is whoever is making the skill check, you make the skill check on your character sheet, the other person roll for the Malachowski to assist. Then... guys, the timeline is, I did not bother to look up again the specific date for this, but it's in around the 2270s. This is about a year after the events of Star Trek, not even quite a year, but shortly within 8 months to a year after the events of Star Trek 4, the best one with the largest whale content. And then the events of Star Trek V and subsequently the peace with the Klingons that came after Star Trek VI. This is a time where the Federation is finding itself on a bit of a back footing because of 3 kind of catastrophic events, 2 of which involved extragalactic probes that came in from the galaxy and from outside of the galaxy, wreaking havoc on the Beta Quadrant as well as threatening all life on Earth. Most recent was that SETI probe that really was only thwarted by breaking some temporal laws to bring back a pair of extinct animals from the past. In addition to that, there has been a continued uproar over the Federation's development of what they call a brilliant innovation in terraforming, but what others call a weapon of mass destruction. That, of course, is the infamous Genesis device. It has been a continual point of topic for the Klingon Empire and for a while, the Romulan Senate as well, or the Romulan Star Empire. Where we find ourselves right now is things very rocky with the Klingon Empire. The events of the films have seen at least 2, soon to be more, Klingon ships cross the border into Federation space, do a bunch of shit, and seemingly have no consequence. I assume for the purpose of our campaign that that is not the only time the Klingons are doing that. And what that speaks to is either the Klingons are in such a state of disarray in their empire that they cannot control their captains, or they don't care and they don't think that the Federation can do anything about it. The Romulans likewise are going through a bit of a turbulent period. But where turbulence in the Klingon Empire tends to be causing chaos in Federation space, particularly along the Federation-Klingon border, the Romulans, oddly, trying to make friends. There has been some early attempts at cultural exchange, and this will ideally eventually go to a more strong connection between the two star polities. But unfortunately, the death of the Praetor, who was sort of spearheading that, has also thrown the Romulan Star Empire into a bit of disarray. And that has led to Starfleet kind of looking at its list of priorities. And the two things that Starfleet, not the Federation, but Starfleet exists for, are, for one, diplomacy, and two, defense. And it seems like they may have been falling down on both of those things, because if you've got one that is on the verge of collapse and is seemingly fighting a simmering Cold War with you may need to do something about that on both the diplomatic and the defensive front. And it is not, if the Klingons are doing this to the Federation, it is expected they're doing it to the Romulans, and the Romulans are likewise in a particularly vulnerable spot. This has led to the Vanguard Initiative. The Vanguard Initiative is sending a bunch of older ships, getting them back spruced up like the 70-year-old Riel, getting it ready to go back out and try and be a troubleshooter. The Malachowski class has traditionally, well, for its time, which is, of course, during the Federation-Klingon War, so it's a little long in the tooth. The Malachowski packed a good punch, but it didn't move terribly quickly. But fortunately, the Riel has been the recipient of some upgrades, so it has some peppy little engines, meaning that it can carry a bit of a punch and it can get itself around pretty quickly. Captain, you have been placed, you are a veteran of Starfleet, and I believe that you served early. You were born, I can't remember what the timing was of this, either you were born early in or you served early in the Klingon Federation War. But you have had a long distinguished record through the kind of original series era, and you have been given command of the Riel. Ensign Ventura, you're very, very new to this. This is sort of first posting out of the academy, so you are, as they say, wet behind the ears. You are fortunately a bit of a genius and excelled in your field, so I'm assuming you picked the Riel as your station or your place to be assigned. Where our story opens up is doing one of those thankless tasks. Defense, diplomacy, they have many important things, but you know what doesn't get done, or what stands in the way of everything, and that's hunger. So you guys are shuttling food supplies. You are currently delivering urgently needed food supplies from one location to another location. The names of those worlds really doesn't matter because you're not really going to get there, at least not today. This has been about 2 months that you have been on the border between Klingon space and Federation space, and things are bad. You are finding that there are a number of allies who seemingly feel, whether they were or not is another matter, they feel neglected. They don't feel that the Federation has been paying sufficient attention to them, either responding to Klingon raids or to other difficulties in the region. The Orions are known to be active in this region as well, which means any intra-system transport is going to be potentially preyed upon by Orions, who of course deny that they are pirates, but they are. In addition, there are threats in here too. For every one of the places you find that just needs a good pat on the back, they are reporting continued raids by the Klingons, by the Orions, or otherwise. And finally, there is the passage of the cetacean probe. The cetacean probe, you may recall from the dramatization of those events in Star Trek 4 caused massive power loss. It caused things to shut down. And while there were some places that were able to survive, the USS Saratoga was one of the first vessels to encounter it. And it's only through actually Commander Gaius's cleverness. He made out a makeshift solar sail to keep the crew, keep the life support functioning, and avoid depleting reserve power in time for the crisis to resolve and them to be survived. There's other problems that have happened. There's ships that have gone missing, not seen again. It's not only from Federation, but seemingly from the Klingons as well. And the route that the Cetacean probe took was through many occupied systems. So there's a lot of places where they've suffered the impact, not as catastrophically as what Earth was, but nevertheless, disruptions in a place that was already fairly volatile is challenging. And perhaps that's why you're not surprised, Captain, when you are summoned to your ready room for a private briefing from Starfleet Command. Oh, you're muted. So we can toast Mo. To Mo.
Very good. I shall promptly arrive. Absolutely on time.
So you arrive, and when you flash on, it is Admiral Singh. He is one of the architects of the Vanguard Initiative. And do you think you've had dealings with Singh before? And if so, I mean, obviously you would have had at least some dealings because you were posted to one of the Vanguard ships. But what do you think your opinion of Singh is?
I'm going to suggest, in my experience, my considerable experience, I've found him. Is it a him? Sorry,
it's a him. Yeah,
it's a him. I found him to be at times incautious.
Okay, so he seems more happy to jump rather than look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when he comes on, he says, Captain Schaefer, good. You're currently tasked, I see, to deliver food supplies. Unfortunately, that will have to wait. We will be having to redirect you to Chemist Gamma. The Chemist system, there is a matter there that, well, it is a bit of a puzzle, and it potentially will require a response of some kind. He's being more dissembling than what he typically is with this. Mm-hmm. Why don't you give us let's get some dice rolling here. Why don't you give us
Insight?
I'm sorry?
Insight? No, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think insight and probably science.
Oh, okay. Not quite my strong point.
Start with 2 dice. If you want to give me any, you're welcome to.
So when you say 2 dice, is that the complication range?
No. The 2 dice will be...
Roll?
Yeah, because remember, you always start with 2 d20s that you're rolling. And,
that's right. Yeah,
you can choose to give me threat to gain extra dice.
Okay. Would this be a negotiation focus or not?
No, I'm trying to determine what you know about this system, whether you've had any exposure to it.
Okay. Let's just make a roll.
Okay.
So that's 2 on the task roll. Complication range 1. I think this is right, but let me know if this doesn't look right.
Okay. Ooh.
I know very little.
You know very little about it. And just as a reminder, when you... the difficulty for that would have been 1 because it's just a matter of recall information, and any excess momentum can either be dumped into the pool to a maximum of 6, or you can spend it for other tasks.
Where do I put the difficulty, Kevin? Sorry?
Difficulty is you don't bother adding it in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just something I'm just mentioning, that if
Okay.
had you made it, because typically having that momentum in the pool, once you get some stuff built up in there, that can be helpful for subsequent rolls.
Well, Captain Sheffer is always very direct. You know, he's been around the block. He doesn't mess around. He says, I haven't been briefed on Chemist Gamma. If you could provide some more details.
I'm not terribly surprised. It is a place truly, really only of interest in the past to xenoanthropologists. Chemist 4 was a curious system. Chemist Gamma is inhabited, but it is inhabited by, and he sort of hits a screen and a display comes up. The Comesians are, well, they represent a quite curious circumstance. You're a Comesian, and this is what kind of pops up as your average Comesian.
Okay.
The Comesians occupy an M-class world, and one with a very advanced level of technology, superior to the Federation in several ways. They also appear to be inheritors of a level of technology from a prior civilization. The Comesian Chemist Gamma is the only occupied system in their world, and for as long as we have been aware of it, it has been surrounded by some sort of advanced force field and climate management system. We assume that it relates to some way of protecting, and while we have been unable to penetrate the field, from what we gathered, the Comesians had no contact with any other civilization. The Prime Directive rules apply. The Prime Directive applies, and as such, we refrained from contact, even inadvertent, in our efforts. And fortunately, there were some clever folk who managed to figure a sensor that could penetrate. While we could not communicate with any on the surface, we were able to monitor the civilization, and it has been roughly 100 years now that we have been collecting data on them. Again, I'm not surprised. This is typically something that is really only xenoarchaeologists would be of interest. The Comesian language, it seems, is similar to Dewan, Denazian, and Akabar. He pauses to see if you have any reaction to that. Given that you don't, I take it you don't have xenoarchaeology as one of your specialties?
It wasn't a focus of mine, no.
Captain, it is of interest to xenoarchaeologists because a prevailing theory is that all of these languages are related to the ancient Iconian civilization. And that is something that you may remember. Iconians were referenced in many the ancient myths of many different species as demons of wind and air, because it was said they could pass between worlds. Xenoarchaeologists, and seemingly appear from nowhere, xenoarchaeologists believe that there is some sort of portal system that was in place at some point which allowed the spread of all of these different species. If there was a civilization that had access to that level of technology, they may also have the technology to dome in the Comesians. The curious thing that the xenoarchaeologists and xenoanthropologists have picked up is, or have determined, is that the Comesians seemingly have a singular culture and a singular religion, all around interacting with the climate control system. They seem to pray to it as if it was a god of some sort, and then it would respond. They have flourished as a result, and the extraordinary degree of control has allowed them to occupy much of the planet. Or it did until the coming of the Cetacean probe. The Cetacean probe, it seems, disrupted that entire network, causing a collapse of both the climate control and the protective system. It also seemingly has affected or potentially destroyed the probe we had left in place to monitor this. Now, obviously, the Federation is concerned about a pre-warp civilization that has such a level of technology being contaminated. And Federation security has said that the Klingons have had their eye on Chemis Gamma for some time. The technology that could be accessible there it could be used for a great many things. We have heard that the Klingons are taking interest in Chemis Gamma. Chemis Gamma is clearly within the boundary of Federation space. Your task: travel to Chemis Gamma, assess the situation, recover what data you can from the anthropological probe, assess the situation as you see fit, and respond. I'm certain you are up on your Federation and Starfleet law, Captain, but as a reminder, while the Prime Directive prohibits interaction with civilizations that have not been exposed to other warp-capable species, the Prime Directive also allows for and permits corrective action as you see fit. These people, as of 8 months ago, had a singular religious belief and a God that answered to them. What we expect you will find is catastrophic losses as the natural order of the climate has reasserted itself, a silence of their gods, and a hostile species that may be seeking to prey upon them. Questions, Captain?
None immediately spring to mind. Obviously, if there is any significant data, sort of probe data that sort of backs this particular briefing up, if any of that can be transferred across to our ship on
Sadly, we've had no contact with the probe. One of your tasks will be to locate it, and if it is still functional, to restore function. We understand that your chief engineer was aboard the Saratoga.
Yes.
If he was able to restore power to keep them alive, Starfleet Command is hopeful that he could likewise restore power to the probe and recover the information.
I see. Very good.
Good.
We will keep you briefed.
Best of luck, Captain. And if it is the Klingons, Captain, make sure they know not to come back.
Understood.
Starfleet Command out. Poof, he's gone.
Okay. Command crew briefing.
Okay. So the command crew is all brought to the lair. To give you just a quick breakdown, so Ambassador Liara, as part of the Vanguard project, you have a Federation ambassador on board the ship. So that is where Liara, she is a Denobulan. You have Dr. Grax, who is a Betazoid. She is a telepath, as well as a bit of a troublemaker. She is Loxana Troy light. Commander Gaius is a Saurian. He was aboard the Saratoga. There is also another ship that is a Hiawatha class that I can't remember the name of right now. One of the other ships that was lost in this region had effectively his best friend aboard. So there sort of is a soft, anything that can be learned about the reason for that ship disappearing is a reason for him to want to seek it out. And then Lieutenant Jiv is a Tellarite who is your helmsman. He has cybernetic eyes lost in a tragic accident. And he has these advanced cybernetic eyes that have replaced his normal vision.
Right.
So everyone comes in.
So I think what I would do actually is he would probably go to the bridge first.
Okay.
And he would take a seat and say, we have new orders. Plot a course, please, now for Chemist Gamma. And all speed to that system, and then I will call a briefing.
Okay.
And command crew to the briefing room.
Ensign Ventura, you were the one who would plot the course as the navigator, and Lieutenant Jiv would execute it as the helmsman.
Yes, Captain. Plot it in.
Okay. And then you were all brought to the ready room. If you want to picture what the bridge of this looks like, because it's gone through a refit, it probably looks like the Reliant from Star Trek II. So, which is just a redressed version of the Enterprise from Star Trek II, but it's different enough. So, so all of you come in, and Ensign Ventura, why don't you give us a insight or actually, I think logic. Well, not logic. I'm just making up words now. Let me take a look at I don't have a character sheet for this that I can cheat off of. A reason. Why don't you give us either reason or insight and science. Check,
yeah, both the same. Yep.
Both the same?
Yeah.
And again, if you choose to give me an extra dice or any threat, you can go ahead. Oh, you are giving me threat, though. Thank you, Ensign.
It's a pleasure.
So I'll add that onto my red bar here. What I was rolling for is whether you knew anything about Chemist Gamma. Total mystery to you, too.
Knew out of the academy. That wasn't on the cheat sheet.
Yeah.
That wasn't a big thing.
So the lot of you were all brought in to the captain's ready room and Captain Schaefer.
Well, interesting. I'll say interesting. We have been redirected by Starfleet to Chemist Gamma. The information on Chemist Gamma is currently, some of this has been lost. It is a protected species. The Chemistians, they hold a high-tech society, which has been shielded from intervention up until recently, up until the Cetacean probe. Their culture has been founded on a high-tech provenance to a surrounding power field that they have regarded as a god. They have the basis of a Forerunner style technology, which is significantly advanced to our own, which may well involve resonances of the Iconian civilization, referencing ancient myths of wind and air and the passing between worlds. It's believed that they may well have some form of portal technology.
Ambassador Liara kind of leans in. She says, I'm sorry, Starfleet Command thinks Chemist Gamma may be connected to the Iconians?
Correct. It will not therefore surprise you, any of you, that with a fragile species on one world that has now been exposed to intervention, that Starfleet is not the only interested party in this particular civilization, particularly given the technological provenance that they have. It is believed that the Klingons have also expressed interest in Chemist Gamma, but more specifically in weaponizing, one would assume, I say rolling my eyes, weaponizing the technology that may be found or sourced from this world. Our mission is to assess the planet and assess the current situation, to restore the Starfleet probe that has been undertaking recordings of the world, and to
Dr. Grax interrupts. We've been spying on them?
We have been remotely monitoring their progress.
She gives you the look of where she wants to say semantics, but she does not, because she knows better.
No. Well, I can't judge on that. All I can judge is that's what we have been doing. But more importantly, we need to assess where the civilization is up to, and if there are any external threats to that civilization, then we need to respond to those vigorously.
Lieutenant Jiv kind of leans forward. How vigorously, Captain?
Unambiguously. So that is the steer we've had from Starfleet. We will, of course, make our own assessment when we're there.
Commander Gaius, who is your first officer, as well as Chief Engineer, says they expect the probe to have affected, the cetacean probe to have affected our survey probe.
That's the belief, yes. And more specifically, the surrounding power field of Chemis Gamma, which, as I say, has almost a personality to the civilization to inhabit the planet.
Dr. Grax interjects again. Is the intent to restore the field, then?
That will be something that we will need to assess. I don't think we can presuppose any specific actions until we understand more about what's happening on the ground.
Commander Gaius says, Captain, if the damage to the surveillance or the survey probe is similar to what we saw on the Saratoga, it may be that it has recycled on its own, but the communication systems may simply be damaged. We saw something similar once power was restored on the Saratoga.
I wonder if the same might apply to the field around Chemis Gamma. In which case, our restoration of the probe would be that much simpler, particularly with you on board to assist.
He nods. You know that Saurians typically, culturally, enjoy being helpful. It is one thing they find value in their species is having a plate to be helpful. So you just fucking slathered that butter on his toast. No one else has any questions unless you have anything further, Captain?
No. It's a high-profile mission with a fragile and potentially, it's potentially a civilization that we, in time, would wish to become a part of the Federation when the time is right. The system is very much within the protection and part of the Federation, and therefore we do have a remit to support and protect them should we require to do so.
Liara says, Captain, if what you say is true, and I will review the full reports in detail, if this is a deeply religious culture that has not changed in hundreds, if at least tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years, this recent development could be sufficient to break their culture beyond repair.
It could be catastrophic. That's right. Also, we need to be particularly mindful that our intervention could be interpreted in many different ways by that culture.
Indeed. If they have not had contact with the Klingons or any other advanced civilization, the Prime Directive is clear.
What is particularly interesting is if they do hold some sort of portal technology, although we don't know it, they may have had significant contact with other parties that we're unaware of.
It could be. The Iconians are still a theory, of course. But if what you say is true...
There's a lot of strange things out there.
Indeed. Ambassador Liara gets up and says, Captain, if you would excuse me, I would prefer to get a start on preparing for our arrival.
I had anticipated that, and of course, thank you.
Thank you. And she turns and just kind of nods generally to the crew, and she leaves. Dr. Grax says, Captain, are these estimates correct for population? This is 30 billion? How could a planet sustain that many?
Again, this speaks of a very high technology civilization. And the portal technology that they potentially have could further complicate our understanding of population versus the planetary system.
If they had that many before, I can't think of anyone in the Beta Quadrant who would not want access to that level of fine detail over your...
Precisely.
This would make Ryza look like a desert planet.
Yes.
Then, anything further, Captain? Ensign Ventura, I think that you would know. Tell me if I've got this wrong, Graham, but Captain Schaefer welcomes input from even the junior officers.
We are stronger together.
There are no stupid questions, just stupid people. So by all means.
I think she'd be just sort of in awe of the mission, really, and she'd be just sort of smiling and looking around, listening to all the chat, and just thinking that, you know, this could be one of the most important sort of discoveries. You know, if all this comes true, and you know the Federation can get involved. So I think she's just sort of lapping it in and not really. She just wants to get on with it. Just can't wait to get there.
I think maybe Jiv, kind of like while people are talking, maybe when Dr. Grax is talking to Schaefer, Jiv leans into you and says, "Close your mouth, girl. You'll catch flies."
And she'll just smile at him. And so, try and settle down a bit.
Okay. Then, Captain, anything further, or are you dismissing your crew?
No, to your stations, and keep me briefed. There's a lot of weird things out there.
As you're getting up and ready to leave, Dr. Grax kind of hangs behind in the way that she does when she wants to talk to you about something.
And I will sort of, I'll just hover and let people go. So
Commander Gaius heads back to engineering. Lieutenant Jiv and Ensign Ventura, you head back to the flight control, I guess, stations, and it leaves Dr. Grax behind with you. And again, Dr. Grax, is full Betazoid, so she is telepathic. She would, of course, never read your mind without your will, but I think there are times when she is accidentally empathic. So how are you feeling, Captain, about this task? She's not asking you. I'm asking as the Dabo dealer. to gauge her
if I'm being
reaction.
honest, I think Captain Schaefer is perhaps quite calm about it. I think if he's been around the block, this is just, I mean, this kind of, it's more weird shit. And he's been on a few missions, quite a number of missions where he's encountered other civilizations, often in very perilous or difficult circumstances, and also across, let's call it international waters. So in a way, this is just another one. I mean, there will probably be, sitting underneath that, a kind of nervous energy, which he feeds off. He's in his, what I'm going to say, maybe his early 50s.
Yeah.
I'd say the reason he stays with the job is this feeling.
Yeah.
This is the thing that keeps him going. This is the thing that keeps him going, as far as he sees it. It keeps him not so much young, but going. And so there is a nervous energy sitting underneath what is a relatively calm.
Yeah, and that also explains why you're like an ideal candidate for this type of program, right? For the Vanguard program, where it's gonna be some new bullshit, that's on a planetary scale every week. So
exactly. So, Doctor, can I help you?
Eric, I'm assuming she can call you Eric in private.
Yeah.
Eric, if those numbers are correct, we are talking about deaths and casualties in the billions. The level of humanitarian aid that would be required for that level of devastation, setting aside the challenges of what we have accessible here, there's going to be a lot of people who require help, and we're waiting to see if they've spoken to the Klingons before we deliver assistance.
You are correct in your assumption that we do not have, even a Federation starship does not have adequate resources to support the sort of numbers that we're talking about on the planet. We're not going to wait for the Klingons, that's for sure. My initial assessment is that to save the most lives, some restorative work on their infrastructure might be one of the things that we can try to do to give the voices that they've heard voice again. Obviously, we don't know whether that's possible, but I know for a fact if we cannot do that, you are quite right that there could be a catastrophic loss of life, and that may already have begun. That's not our mission. It's not our mission, Dr. Grax. Our mission is to assess, ensure that technologies do not pass over to the Klingons, and do what we can to support the culture. And we have to be mindful of how much we can achieve.
If it is the Klingons, do you think they'll fight?
If it's the Klingons, they sure as hell will.
I'll make sure all med stations are ready for any combat trauma. But I'm also going to put together a proposal for anticipated needs for a response to the climate crisis.
Yes, and in fact, one of the missions for Commander Gaius on our journey is to do a full diagnostic run-through of our own defensive and offensive systems on the ship to ensure that we are absolutely fully functional, should they be required. I assume that's Commander Gaius. It could be somebody else. Is that?
Commander Gaius is the chief engineer, so yeah, he would be making sure that that's it. Otherwise, actually, Ensign Ventura would be in charge of...
I'll put Ensign Ventura on it as well.
She nods. that means the science teams. They have nothing to do. Perhaps preemptive studies of...
Yes. I made a request for any data that we might have on Chemis Gamma and the Commission's civilization. We have very limited information. But as this system has been predominantly of interest to anthropology or xenoanthropology, any further information that could be gleaned from the science teams would be informative and help us to make the right decisions.
I have your permission to put together a work group then?
Yes, please.
Will do. Captain, she gives you the laziest salute, and then she is on her way out. So Ensign Ventura, when you sit down with Jiv, is there anything you ask him about, or anything you chit-chat about, or are you just getting to work running the diagnostics right away?
I want to... Yeah, I'll be running my diagnostics and doing what I'm told. But any free time, I've got a feeling she's got a bit of a... Well, she has now. She's got a bit of a sort of a naughty side, and she likes to try and get information that's maybe not for her level of sort of seniority, and trying to sort of hack into the security of, you know... They've obviously been doing probes on this place for a long time. Information's out there. It's probably protected quite well, but she's quite good with computers, and she likes to have a look whenever she gets a bit of free time.
So you're, officer rank in the command crew. So there's, barring there being anything, Federation or Starfleet security. Otherwise, you're going to have access to all of that stuff.
So this ain't that well protected then, in the sense of what they've been discovering with these probes for...
I mean, what's important, what you could do, why don't you give us, it sounds like you are, if you're trying to search for stuff, it's probably insight, it's probably computers, and you could draw on the ship's computers to assist with that. And that would be, Graham, if you would kind of give us a computers, and what is the system... And computers and science for the Riel.
Sure. Computers and science.
Yeah, and then do you wish to give me? So you're only rolling the one. We're taking that first one on the left. But Ventura, do you wish to give me any threat to roll some extra dice?
So I'll go with one extra, which will give me an extra dice, won't it?
Got it.
So right. So is my task roll 2? I think my task roll is 2 at the moment, isn't it?
It'll be 1. So technically,
it's 1.
Yeah, you set it at 1, but the sheet doesn't seem to work. So it'll roll 2 for you, whether you put 1 or 2.
Oh, does it really? Okay, but let me just go with that and see what it does. Okay.
Yeah, but we take that first one. That's a 2.
Wow.
So you got 2 successes thus far, and then
we haven't got any determination yet, so we can't use.
I think you start with 1. Let's see here. I'll double check, but I'm fairly certain you start with 1. I just didn't give it to you.
I've got 1.
Oh, have you? Oh, right.
Yeah. So you could certainly make use of that to... And you can tell us how that might go.
Yeah, she's got the value. I can't wait to see what's out there. And seek out new life and new civilization. She's just like, I just got to know more about this.
So let me point something out. Because you're sort of, it sounds like you're doing shit you shouldn't be doing. That's actually a way to get another point of determination, because you're causing a complication for yourself.
Yep.
Because you could get in trouble for that, right?
Yeah, but this is important stuff.
So there you go. So you could you could spend it immediately if you choose to, or you can keep it, but it could create a complication for yourself.
Yeah, I guess if I spend it straight away, I'll be back to 1, won't I? So, and what would that give me?
You treat your first dice as if you rolled a 1 on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So you
I'll
would,
go with that.
okay.
Yeah.
And do you have a focus that would apply?
I've got computers.
You got computers as a general focus, or?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh yeah. Yeah. If that's what you're using, then yeah, I buy that.
Okay.
That's literally like kind of searching through the database type stuff you're doing.
Yep.
So make sure you get your focus ticked. You're rolling 2 dice because the first one counts as a 1.
All right.
Yeah, that's good. We'll ignore that last one, or you can re-roll. What would you prefer?
Well, I can re-roll, do it properly, I suppose.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll be just 2 then, I guess.
2.
Because of the...
Yeah, because the aid. Now, I think... Hold up. There's something about aiding another that changed in this.
Oh, yeah, in the system, the ship.
Yeah. But there is success at cost. How badly do you want to get this information?
So what do I need in successes to get the information?
So what I'm checking is the assistance, because I can't remember if you need to get at least like 1 success yourself before the assistance can apply.
So doesn't the determination give me 2 successes?
Oh, of course it does. I'm an idiot. Yeah, you've already got 2. Ignore me. I don't need to look at that roll yet. So that's 4 in total. All you needed was 1 to be able to gain access to the database that's in there. Before, and you have 3 momentum right now. First off, once we'll assume you've gained access to everything I told Captain Schaefer about.
Yep.
Is there
I'm
anything?
looking for the good stuff. I'm looking for the extra stuff from the probe that's maybe not super obvious, and it's the small print almost.
What you find is that it seems as if one captain early on, at the backing of one of the xenoarchaeologists who works with the Federation, it seems as if they pushed pretty fucking hard in trying to get that barrier down, and they found some interesting information. So what I'm going to give you is actually, this will cost 2, because it's not just information, but it's creating a trait that you can then use afterwards. And that trait is unique field harmonics. And by pushing into there, so they didn't like the idea that they were trying to collapse this barrier. And again, even at that time, they understood that the climate control was linked to this thing. So this is really dangerous and a real threat to these people. But they let them do that. The bonus you get from that is unique field harmonics. So if you have anything that might relate to that, where that could come into play, that will reduce the difficulty of that task by 1 now.
Okay. That's cool.
You still have, I'm going to still have 2 more momentum, because you have that 1 success plus 1 to create the truth, or the trait. You have 2 more, if you'd like to ask. Each one can be spent to gather information.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any evidence or anyone with any sort of credible information about this portal thing that the captain was talking about. Has anyone actually found any sort of evidence or seen anything that would explain whether it exists?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the only thing that's been found so far has been the linguistic studies, is where they've linked all these various things, and these are cultures that are found on different planets scattered across the both the alpha and the alpha and beta quadrants. So they're like seemingly moving all the way across space and time, with where cultures should not have that kind of contact. And
spaceships.
and also not a matter of, these are not civilizations that had lots of evidence of warp travel or any other kind of space flight travel. So it's demons of winds and air is where they connect these things to it. This is one of the remaining highest level of technologies, but it's also curious that it's, in addition to the force field, the level of technology they live around is a lot higher than what the culture is capable of. In the same way that the species, the communities, have remained relatively the same for at least 100,000, 200,000 years, however long they've been in existence here. Some of the things that are attributed to the Iconians date back 200,000 years. These people, seemingly, because you haven't been on the planet, you haven't done archaeological digs, but by observing it, it is a monoculture among 30 billion people. Imagine the stagnation in your culture that has to happen for that many people to have the same religious belief, the same cultural belief, the same language, the same values. That is thousands of generations of moving around and homogenizing the whole place. And by virtue of the climate control, they can make everywhere be kind of the same. So you don't even need to change for the alpine region or change for the desert region. And the fact that it is still similar to that, like one of the reasons why they justified the survey probe here is because if this is indeed as stagnant a culture, it also means, like a fly in amber, that there may be things to be learned about the Iconians from these people. But in contrast to the other people who either, developed in their own path, just having linguistic similarities without the technology, these people seem to have been placed in a situation where they keep things out and they keep them happy. So they're not aware of what's outside. They don't bother to develop technology because everything is on offer. You just need to show up at a specific dispensing station and make the appropriate communications.
Yeah, I mean, she's super intrigued about this civilization.
So, anything you guys wish, or anything further before we leave Ensign Ventura? Anything further she wishes to inquire?
No, I mean,
you still have one more momentum left.
Taking her quite a bit of time. No, I guess I'll just bank that last one.
Okay.
So I'll just put it in the pool.
Okay. And Captain Schaefer, what are you doing while you're on, there's got to be like sundry tasks you have to look at, reports and so forth for the crew, but what are you doing?
Perhaps reviewing information that we know about the planetary civilization, and anything about the intervention we've made so far through the probe.
Okay.
Just to understand a little bit, in a bit more detail, well, anything that I think might help any decision making to come.
So
I'll be doing that. And
a point of prominence in their culture that you're able to roll. You're not going to have to roll for this because you have your command staff. So what you find is there is a reference to the way they reference themselves and their relationship to their religion is as the compact, and all of the prayers, for lack of a better term, what's the word I'm looking for here? When you are at benedictions, that's what are being offered, not what you're asking for. What is it? The word I'm looking for is.
Yeah.
I can't remember offhand what the religious connotation is to it, but they are. It's like pleas, like a plea for something, but there is an actual word for it, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
The tip of my fucking brain right now.
Yeah.
The person they seem to address it to is something that they call the procurator. The procurator of the conclave. Of the compact.
Right.
That's the translation, at least, of it. And as you're working, when you can hear Majel Barrett's voice go off saying, Warning. Unauthorized access to secure data. You kind of, what in the... And if you look, it appears that Ensign Ventura has gone beyond what she is authorized to access and has seemingly tapped into secure Starfleet intelligence files, or Federation intelligence, I guess, because of the nature of the survey. And you are now aware of, I think you would have been able to access that stuff to be aware of what the other captain let happen here. Now you know that she knows.
Sure. I mean, her understanding this probably isn't a problem to me. Her breaking protocols probably is. So I think I'll go back to the briefing room and call her in. Okay.
Ensign Ventura. I think, like, when you get up, you can feel Jiv is just kind of like, he has no pupils, no irises. He's just got those cybernetic eyes, but you can feel that he's just like...
Has he got eyebrows?
Oh, does he? He's a Tellarite, so he has eyebrows for miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So what... so Ensign, you were being called into the captain's ready room. What happens next?
Yeah. I'll just stand up and walk in as you'd expect.
Yeah. She's at attention.
Have a seat.
Yes, Captain. Is it about the mission?
It is. It is. So we have protocols on access, which you're aware of. I wanted to understand why you broke those protocols just a moment ago and access files that you were not briefed or given access to. Just interested to understand your thinking about why you did that.
What's the look on Ventura's face?
Yeah, it'd be the classic sort of school kid being told off, sort of embarrassment sort of situation. A bit of stuttering, but Captain, we all need to be fully informed on what we're getting into. This could be a very volatile and dangerous situation. I felt obliged to know as much as possible. It could help us. I've learned some more about this field.
We'll come to that in a moment, Ensign.
Yes, Captain.
If you are wanting further information, that's of course quite laudable. There are means by which you can request it. And I don't know if you know me well enough to understand that I am always interested to hear of people going above and beyond. That's what makes us Starfleet, right? But that just requires you to ask. So next time, and I'm sure there will be a next time, just ask, and we can sort something out. Do you follow me?
Yes, Captain, of course. I didn't want you to think I wasn't doing my full duties, and I didn't know if we had time to do this in our own free time. So
there's always time for that, Ensign, and it's always good to see people wanting to go above and beyond. It's just important for the running of the ship that we do it in a way that we all understand. And actually, me understanding that you don't feel you have enough information is itself useful to me. So, on that basis, and I think we have an understanding there, what have you found? And is there anything that you think that you can share that might be useful to the mission?
And I just share the information I found on a keypad or compad or whatever, and explain that this might help us with the field harmonics on this shield system that they're using.
Yes. This is a bit... do I understand you? Just perhaps replay the bits again about what our probe was doing.
And it is no question that it was pushing the field to seemingly... they could not have known what a braking limit would be for it, but they seem to be pushing pretty fucking hard, heedless of the consequences.
It seems... Well, from my inexperienced eyes that this is very dangerous, what they were attempting here.
Ensign, do we have any information on the, let's call it the command wrap around the decision making of the protocols on the probe? Who was pushing the buttons of the probe? It wouldn't have been the probe itself. Is there anything in the records that indicate the command structure? There's a particular reason why I ask.
Yeah. So is this fairly recent?
No, that task that would have been about 20 years ago. Not even necessarily like you would have been serving in Starfleet, but I mean, like this is TOS era stuff. So, you may recall that era was full of fucking cowboys. So, right, they're you know,
I was probably one of them.
Quite possibly. And I mean, like, Kirk is an easy one to point to, but think of how many, like, you know, captains who have broken down and gone mad or, like, sacrificed themselves and their crew and, like...
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of people who are in charge of a lot of other people with a lot of power with no real direct oversight. Sometimes you make your best guess as to who you think will be a good captain, and sometimes that works out and sometimes it does not.
But maybe 20 years ago, somebody made some decisions, and maybe they're still around. And this wouldn't look so good now.
Most likely, yeah. Like the and if anything, if they were captain 20 years ago, barring, you know, their brain being taken out or, you know, being killed by a flying pancake or any number of other issues.
Be admiral, couldn't they? They could be admiral.
Yep, that's what they say, right? Promote the incompetent because you need the other people to keep the place running. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and also the archaeologist or xenoarchaeologist who was pushing, because what is clear from it is while the captain did not stop the guy from doing it, it was the archaeologist who was pressing to do this. You can almost picture the like dramatic horn music playing, everyone dressed up in leotards, and them trying to push this beam harder and harder to try and get through. And the captain finally shuts it down because it's a threat to 30 billion people. Or something like that.
If I can find any names that point any fingers, then obviously I will, but I'm not so sure it'll be that obvious to find and that easy to find. But
so the moral imperative for us to redress the situation on the planet is all the greater, would you not say, Ensign?
Well, I don't know if the people on the planet ever knew of this that was going on.
But we do.
Indeed.
So it's Professor Atticus Kyle is the name of the xenoarchaeologist in charge of that operation.
And went on to a very successful public career as a high-profile communicator of archaeology across the Federation.
He's an amazing show on Space Netflix. Yeah. What you could do, Captain Schaefer, is if you want to give us, this is just a difficulty 1, it's an obtain information thing, so it'd be a 0. I want to know if for you reviewing Starfleet protocol, because you could probably find out who's responsible for these instructions. Obviously, there's someone who left that probe there, and obviously someone is interested in it getting back up and running again, and curiously getting the data from it. So, my thought is something to do with like Starfleet, you know, bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And I think maybe command and like command and control I could see as a way of like trying to assert, you know, like RHIP kind of stuff of give me access to this information.
Sure, I've got that.
Daring command I could also see. So whatever, however you think you're going to approach
I'll
it.
do command and control. In terms of, I'm going to ask again on this task roll. Do I select it to 2?
You make sure it's on a 2. Yes. So for the number of dice that are rolling, are going to be 2. And then if you want to give me, there's 1 momentum in the pool, so you could take that and get a free dice.
I'll take that and go for 3.
Also, I forgot something. You, Ensign Ventura, you had, I think, a free reroll. Didn't you spend...
When you use one of the values to spend or gain determination, get add a momentum, yeah.
Yeah, so there should actually be 2 momentum in the pool.
I'll take just the 1, because
Just the 1?
that gives me the die.
Okay.
And I'll make a roll.
I'll put it back to 1.
Oh! Oh, that... Now, did you have a focus that you thought applied?
I have the focus Starfleet protocols.
That is absolutely what you're going to get. All right, so that is 3 momentum. Would it surprise you to learn that one of the chief in charge of this particular project and protocol, appearing on the byline of one of the people that is like CC'd on the email, as it were, is Professor Atticus Kyle?
Yeah.
That is only 1 thing, and you got that by making the successful roll. You have 3 momentum right now, if you wish to spend it on anything.
Maybe just 1 more, just to sort of, in terms of the Starfleet that was involved, do we have any idea who the command was?
The command of that vessel?
Yeah.
At that time?
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean Captain Singh?
Again, why am I not surprised? Oh, Captain Singh. Sending someone to tidy things up. Okay.
2 more momentum.
Found anything interesting, Captain?
Just a couple of names of people involved.
The furrowing of your brows communicates as much as...
We can't redress the mistakes of we can redress the mistakes of the past, but we can't undo what they've done.
So, what do you do, if anything?
I might compile a report. I think Command and Control. I will compile a log report on the activities of the ship as it's heading in warp to the destination. I'm tempted to put something a little bit open about the activities of Starfleet under the sort of command of some time ago that has actually precipitated potential problems that we're now having to sort out. And so I perhaps all point to sort of protocol and how protocol was clearly not followed. And it has caused a significant issue, potentially catastrophic to a civilization, which we're now having to clean up.
Well, to be clear, the effect on Chemist Gamma is no different than what has happened for other places. It just so happens this is much more advanced, but you're correct in thinking that because you don't know anything about the field, it's impossible to know whether there was some damage or weakening by that scan, right, that left it vulnerable to the thing. So while you don't have evidence that they did collapse it, they really did push to the point. So if you wanted to just make that public, that's a way to do that, is saying there is no way to know whether or not this had an impact on it.
However, it was an intervention, and that breaks protocols.
Yeah. Attempted breaking this prime directive is probably not just because you're shitty at it, probably doesn't excuse, the attempted breaking of it. But
how often is it that Starfleet creates problems that it has to sort out?
Unthinkable. So then, anything else with Ensign Ventura, or is she dismissed?
No, dismissed, ensign.
Very good, Captain.
Then, anything you guys wish to do between now when you arrive at Chemis Gamma? You'll be traveling, you note on the console, at the speed of plot, so you'll be arriving whenever we're ready to arrive.
It feels very much like a cutscene to an arrival.
Okay. So you guys arrive in system. Now,
we used to watch Star Trek, the original series in the UK, without any commercial breaks because it was syndicated on one of our public channels.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So often what would happen is there would be an obvious commercial break, which we don't get, and then it bumps into the next scene. So it feels like it's one of those commercial breaks that we don't get to see.
Well, it's in a sort of converse way. I didn't understand that you guys didn't watch Doctor Who in 2.5-hour stretches, because they would just show the entire series in one go.
Wow!
Like, this is amazing. So, what about you, Ensign Ventura? Anything you wish to do before you arrive in system?
No, I think she'd be on her best behaviour. I think she'd be following everything to the letter, and yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, and yeah.
I think after like the first or second time of that too, you can hear Ziv a little bit under his breath. Yes sir, no sir.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I'll note it, but I'll ignore it.
Yeah. He is a big fan of you, Ensign. So, when you guys arrive in system, tell me where you would like to arrive. You want to drop in? This is warp drive, so you can appear like right at the planet. You can appear a little bit out system and go, scan before you use your impulse engines to move up. What do you think?
I'll request a slightly out system. Probably outside the orbit of the probe, and probably place us where we think the probe roughly is going to be, but a little bit further out from that, so we can impulse in and scan as we go to understand the situation.
Okay. So as you come
Make it so, Ensign.
Okay. So you drop out of warp. Ensign, would you kindly... Actually, let's do this here. Let's move ourselves over, because I think I got another thing for you. Here we go. Bring you over here. Hey, attaboy, Kip. I wasn't sure if I had updated the default page or not. The default page is always stark white with a grid on it.
Oh, right.
It's always good. I always like just the flat black as the background. And looks like Kev in the past was listening and set up this as the default. So well done, Kev. Okay, I think I've got everybody. Well, I'll grab everybody and the Riel. And let's drop everyone in here. Boom. Okay. Folks. Welcome to Chemis Gamma. Now, what I would ask is, Ensign, if you would like to do a sensor scan, that'll be, I think, Insight and Con. And Captain, if you would kindly give us a Sensors and Science roll for the Riel. Ensign, there's 3 momentum in the pool.
Yeah. Can I use shipboard tactical systems? Is that combat ship?
That's more combat stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So that won't be applicable.
No.
No, so I haven't got any. I haven't got any other focuses. So I'm going to spend 3. Will get me 2 dice, won't it?
You will.
Yeah. I'm going to go for it.
Okay.
I'm trying to. So is this for the planet we're doing at the moment?
This is sort of an in-system scan because there are a couple of things. It is unlikely to reveal the presence of a cloaked ship, and if there is a Klingon here, they probably are cloaked. But it's tough to tell. Like, cloaking does chew up a ton of power, So not necessarily. So you may catch them with their pants down, as it were.
Yeah.
And also, would be a scan for the ship. I'm assuming what you're scanning for right now, to make it a difficulty 1, would be the probe itself, the survey probe. And then any excess momentum spends you can spend for that, or for gaining further information. Oh, what a complication! Look at that.
Oh, man.
Now hold on. Do you get to re-roll one though? You spent momentum, not threat.
Yeah. When you attempt to target, no. It's not plotting the course. It does say whenever you succeed at... Oh, I've got to do this. Whenever you succeed at a task for which you bought 1 or more additional dice, I've got to roll a d20 because of my untapped potential.
Oh, yeah. So there's potentially a threat or...
Yeah, so I shall roll a d20. So that is exactly my control. So what was...
Equal to or less, you get 1 bonus momentum.
Equal to or less. Ah, so I get 1, yeah, cool.
All right, so I'm just going to take that as threat just because I can't think of anything particularly devious. I mean, I'd make a Space Fang Dragon joke, but, you know, that seems hack at this point. That means you have 2 momentum and the 1 success. So you are able to detect the survey probe that was in orbit, in kind of high orbit around Chemis Gamma, and it has the orbit has deteriorated a bit, as you would expect, but mildly, and power systems seem to be active once again on it. You cannot communicate with it, but the probe itself otherwise seems functional. You have 2 momentum.
Okay, so I can't get any information from that. Can I pick up anything, any sort of signs of any other ships that have been here recently or still here? Any sort of, what do they leave?
You have
what sort of...
2 momentum. You know what it costs to detect a cloaked ship?
I was just about to say 3, yeah.
So... now, technically, you could give me threat to try and detect the presence or absence of a cloaked ship, but that would be all the rest of your momentum. And I'd get a threat.
Would you be able to detect any sort of almost fumes, like they've been here, but I don't know if they're still here?
That's sort of what you would be detecting. From this level of scan, from this distance, that's what you would be detecting, of whether there is the presence or absence of a cloaked ship. But that'll cost you 1 threat plus your 2 momentum.
Hey, I'm going to spend it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So. Oh, actually, hold on. You had 1 momentum in the.
Because I got 1 for doing my potential untapped, didn't I?
I included that with the total we gave you.
Oh, okay. So I'll put that to 0.
Yeah. So it is 1.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I got to start spending some threat here. So, Captain, or Captain Ensign. There is a clear sign of a cloaked ship somewhere near Chemis Gamma.
Still, or
still cloaked, still there, and the field around Chemis Gamma appears to be partially restored.
What, just part of it, or sort of?
It is in
over, but,
a weaker version of it seems to be in place.
So, yeah, as soon as I see that, Captain, I think we've got, I would guess a Klingon ship or some sort of cloaked ship somewhere in orbit. And it looks like the planet's field is somewhat operational in a weakened state.
First of all, the Klingons, are they within? Can you determine from the sensor data whether they're within combat range?
Not yet. You guys are. Sorry, did you say combat or contact?
Combat.
Combat, no, because you guys are fairly far out of system. She knows that they're in, or has detected them as being in orbit around.
Okay, we won't need to go to any alert status just now then. Can you relate? Right. If you could relay the data that you have found to, was it Ambassador Liera who was doing the?
Guys, can you keep an eye on the red dot on the momentum thing? I think I'm having a problem with it because you just lost the cloak ship. It seems to have maneuvered itself closer to the field, which has interfered with the lock or soft lock you had. So you know it's there, but you don't know where it is. Captain, you were saying?
In terms of the data on the field around the planet, can you relay that information? Was it Ambassador Liera who was organising science teams? Get the data to
Dr.
the science
Grax was.
team. Dr. Grax, get the information to Dr. Grax and teams so that they can make an assessment of what's going on.
You can hear the whoosh of the door from the turbo shaft or turbo lift open, and Ambassador Liara steps onto the bridge.
And just as she steps on, I'll sort of turn around. Captain, I've lost the Klingon ship. It's moved out of sensor range.
And this is our commercial break. Really, we're like 9 minutes early, but we might as well take our mid-session break on that
perfect.
one. Yeah, so then for those listening at home, we'll be back in about 5 minutes. All right. I keep thinking that Graham's picture is frozen. That is not. All right. Time's flying on this. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it always does.
Okay. So, we come back from our commercial break. Ambassador Liara. Captain, Klingons?
Correct.
So they are here.
Well, we have a cloaked vessel.
They have a cloaked vessel out there.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Can you tell what the status of the planet is? And the survey probe?
Have we got data on the survey probe?
The probe looks like it's operational, Captain, but there's no communication to it as of yet. Maybe if we get closer.
Which is what we anticipated, that it might well be the communication rather than the probe that's the problem. Let's get closer to the probe and understand what it is.
Ambassador Liara, I'll just call her Liara. Liara then says, and the planet, Captain. Are we the status of the planet?
Do we have anything on the planet yet?
We're not close enough for scans on the planet yet, are we?
The field is partially restored.
Yeah. So, I think I've already reported that to the Captain, but
Yeah.
There's a weak field around the planet. It seems to have been partially restored, Ambassador.
Is it permeable?
As far as we can tell.
The Klingon vessels, they're generally the bird of prey are too small to accommodate shuttlecraft, but they are atmospheric capable, are they not?
They are.
Well, Captain, this is your territory. I'll excuse myself if you need me. And she leaves. Something fishy about that, Ambassador. Now, do you wish to contact any of your other department heads, or are you just moving towards the high orbit probe? And are the shields going up?
Remind me, how would putting our shields up do in terms of...
Transporters won't work through it, for one.
That's right.
Also, getting shot. If you get shot without by something, at least in this era, birds of prey need to decloak before they can fire. But they are like that. One of their specific trainings is to decloak and fire and try and catch you before you get your shields up.
Yeah. By putting shields up, would that put us on a red alert?
There is amber alert.
Amber. It feels like
it's not amber alert. Yeah, yellow alert. Yellow alert, not amber. Amber alert is if a kid goes missing on the ship.
I think given the proximity of a Klingon cloaked vessel and the fact that we're moving closer, we would go to yellow alert, shields up.
Okay. So everyone does. You could see there's the montage of everyone running to their stations. The Malachowski class is not as big as what the Enterprise class is, so not as many of them, but there's enough. And you guys make your way in. Now with these new engines on board, boy, you make some good time in getting to that thing. Dr. Grax contacts you from Medical Bay. Captain, Dr. Grax here.
Dr. Grax, what have you got for us?
We are ready when you are, Captain. If you expect any response. Oh, so here's one interesting thing, guys. You can tell how many shuttles you have access to in the new version. I think you may have done that in the first edition as well, but I know you can do that in this one. Did I record it on here? Of course I didn't. You do have, so here's one interesting thing. You can see you've got crew support of 4. What that allows you to do is just introduce a crew member. If you need someone to fill a role, that's how you go about doing that, is introducing secondary crew members. So if you need red shirts to bring down with you, if you need a comms officer that we haven't met yet, if you need whatever the fuck, that's where that comes from. And you can do that per adventure, 4 times per adventure, introduce a new character. The launch bay, that's what I forgot to add. Give me a second, I'm gonna grab my book. Book. Where are you? There we go. No, not you. All right. So as a guy who was a kid who read his copy of Mr. Scott's Guide to the Enterprise until it fell apart, I love the Utopia Planitia source book because it's got tons of starships in it, including the Malachowski class. Now, Malachowski has... Oh, it's not in here. I think you've got a number equal to the scale of your ship. So I think you've got 3 shuttles available.
Right.
Check that. Just important for the purpose of what your, if there was evacuation plans or whatnot, that's how many people you'd have access to. That is important because while the field may be permeable at the weakened state that it's at, transporters still will not work through that, nor will they work while you've got your shields up. Getting the shuttlecraft out while your shields are up is also a problem, but you can kind of like flash it down, flash them up a lot easier that way than you can with transporters, just because they do take time.
And just to be clear, what we're doing, are we establishing a more detailed contact with the probe to try and get it communicating again? Is that what we're trying to do?
You want to repair that so it can report back, definitely over subspace. The subspace communicator that's on here, that seems to likely have been damaged. It's one of the problems with the ships that went missing in the wake of the probe is that, from what Commander Guy said, even though some other systems came up, subspace communications did not, which meant that if you were in trouble or you got to a point where you needed help, you couldn't even call for it because that part was well and truly, I think the Starship term is, or Starfleet term is fucked. I'd have to, I'm pretty sure that's canonical. I don't know. Let's see here. So that's crew support, small craft readiness. Here we go. Oh, actually, ship scale -1. So you have 2 shuttlecraft available to you, both of which are regular shuttlecraft. I resisted the urge to. I found there's a guy named, oh god, Bill something or other, not Whitaker, but Bill something or other, who's a model designer for Star Trek, and he does like a bunch of cool shit for Star Trek and Star Trek Online and whatnot. He has a model of like an actual model built of an old FASA Star Trek module that is a warp capable shuttlecraft from the original series and movie era. And I really wanted to find a reason to include that in today's session, and I could not. I'm like, there's absolutely no reason to include this fucking thing in here, but it looks so cool, and I wanted to, yeah. So that is not on board, sadly. Someone in Starfleet Command overlooked the inclusion of that, but... So can you hear how upset Anna is about that? She really loved that model, so...
So are we able to get a shuttle over to the probe to fix it?
You could, or you could also make use of your tractor beam to draw the probe in and then make your repairs.
Oh, let's do that. Let's tractor beam in the probe and establish what's exactly wrong with the probe if it's communications, and secondly, if we can, I don't know, access legacy files or legacy data that we haven't been able to contact because of the lack of communication. It might give us a picture of what's going on.
Yeah. So what you can, so those are two things. Is one is kind of like it wouldn't be tight beam because it's not a fucking laser beam, but like that type of thing, like a high intensity kind of data download from the probe. That's what you're hoping to get.
Yeah.
Okay. And then because of the computers of the Star Trek era are still subject to the understandings of computing capabilities of the 1960s. So it takes time to do everything when, basically, I guess all of Starfleet has shitty internet. So it just takes forever for anything to happen. But, but which I mentioned, because you could do something like your deflector beam, the deflector beam wouldn't be able to do that. Not deflector beam, your deflector dish. Anyway, I'm getting lost in trivia, Star Trek trivia. This is why my copy of Mr. Scott's Guide fell apart. So what you can definitely do is find some way to get faster access to that by like close beam kind of direct transmission type stuff. And the trick is getting it inside your shields first. So I guess the concern is that there is a cloaked bird of prey out there somewhere. You probably outgun and you probably are faster than a bird of prey. But surprise proton torpedoes without your shields up is going to be very tricky that's going to cause a lot of damage and potentially casualties. So you would have to be if you wish to try and keep the shields up as long as you can, you're going to kind of need to time it such that it goes down, goes back up to let the thing go in. And obviously smashing the probe up against the shields, probably not a good thing. Or at least not for the probe. You guys will be fine.
So we need our best tractor beam operator on this.
Yep.
Is that you, Ensign?
It is the tactical skill or
it might be.
Department security.
Okay.
So that strikes me as a daring and security check to be making use of such a hot shot use of snagging something and grabbing it in.
So is this shipboard tactical now?
This is shipboard tactical. Yep.
Yeah, because it's shields and stuff. 2 dice. I'm not convinced that's enough. Which is quite.
Do we have? I noticed that my character has momentum, and threat on the actual sheet. Do we have individual momentum as well? Or
no.
Okay, it's fine. No, it's fine.
No, I think that there may have been at some point some like macro or something like that allows you to sync everything up. I should double check. Sean's mentioned macros for these things before. Nah, there's nothing in.
No, okay, that's fine. I just wanted to check. Okay.
No, it's worth checking. Some of them, I think some of the 2D20 ones do. The Fallout one does not. This one does not. Maybe the Conan one does, but that may have been an intent at some point, is to try and like sync everything, because it does sync on the Fantasy Flight Star Wars ones. That one syncs once you sync all everyone's things up, right? But
no worries. Okay, Ensign, do feel free to use 3 momentum if you wish.
I'm going to use just the one. I think I'm going to use one. Yeah, I'll give you 1 threat because I've got my bold security talent. So if I buy 1 dice, I can re-roll 1d20.
Okay,
nice.
Roll.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, Captain, you could assist on this, or you could direct someone else. This is where the crew could come in if you want to have someone else, like Nameless Joe, the shield operator. I don't know why his parents were so cruel with that name, but
yeah.
Ensign Joe, such as the lot in life. Or you could have Jiv or someone else roll an assist.
Yeah, I'm going to say Shiv.
So Jiv can do that. One classic thing we, in the early periods of a lot of these crews, there is sort of a tradition of like the captain overseeing some junior officer doing something like Savick, piloting the ship out of space dock, or I think Riker might have done that at some point too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the captain, if you want to be the one making the roll to oversee Ensign Ventura, I think you actually have an ability that might sync with that too, don't you?
I've got
When you
I've got bold command, but that's not quite it. Is it coordinated efforts when you assist another character during an extended? No, it's an extended task.
yeah. I might be imagining things.
Follow my lead when you succeed. No,
I think I was misremembering what
I'm not sure
coordinated efforts do. Okay. So then, Ensign, you got your 3 dice.
Yep, I should go for it.
that's pretty good.
Holy shit! Yeah, it's 4. I didn't hear the bloop bloop with the roll.
That's
Captain,
good.
were you assisting?
I'm probably getting in the way. If I assist, how would I do that?
You tell me. What were you? Were you maybe giving her, specifics about the Malchowski's shields? Because these are old.
Yeah, or I might be coordinating the shields for it, just to make sure that they are totally in sync with what they're doing.
Yeah. So I think that might be maybe insight, or control and command, probably, right?
Yep, control and command. Is that 1 die?
1 die. Yeah. Let's see if that works for the individual characters.
Okay. Let's just see if that works. And I don't have I in terms of, would I call focus on this as well, or not really?
You can, yeah, because you can contribute to more than 1 success.
I just wonder if this is because we're sort of fluctuating shields. Is it a combat maneuver?
Yeah, most definitely. Your concern is whether the Klingons are
I'm
out there.
going to tick yes for the focus use and see what we get.
There you go. And the Riel. The Riel, because contribute, because you can always rely on the system. So it's probably weapons and security. Would someone like to roll the weapons and security for the Riel?
Go on, Darren.
Okay, let me just...
Oh, and the difficulty of this 2, I had set this at a 2. So you currently have 3 momentum that you're playing with.
what was it? Weapon sensors?
Yes, please. And we take the first dice of the 2.
Weapon security, wasn't it? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 more. You have 4 momentum over this. What does this look like as you pull this thing in and perfectly sync it with the stuttering of the shields?
I think she'll be audibly sort of counting down, sort of like 4, 2, and she'll just sort of time it so that she's counting in the probe and counting down the systems. She'd have already done some sort of calculation on how long it was, and just after it goes through, she'll look over at Shiv.
I think as soon as it goes through, you see Shiv go, yes!
And yeah, just a big smile, and then I've got to do my untapped potential again. Oh! So that is threat.
Thank you very much. See, look at this. Now we're all happy.
Yeah.
So you have the probe in, and you have your shields still up. What would you guys like to do? You can bring it back to sort of the shuttle bay and have it brought in by... there's got to be engineering crew who can put on the old, it's not a worker bee, but there is these, the big kind of bulky spacesuit things that they use in, oh gosh, I can't remember which, I want to say 1. Anyway, doesn't matter. But there's these big bulky kind of red, you see them drifting around the Enterprise in that extended sequence around the Enterprise on, in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, but that they'll go out, they can grab the thing and bring it back in, and then you can just plug the USB drive in, and you can download everything the tight beam communication.
Yeah, it's a little sort of chip about that big, made of sort of bright yellow plastic, isn't it?
So you guys have anything you want to do with that 4 momentum?
What do you think, Darren? I don't know. One of the things I would say, first of all, I would exhort the investigation crew that we need data from that probe as quickly as possible. It's essential we get information as quickly as possible.
Okay.
I'm going to suggest, Ensign, that we've been hanging around this probe a bit too long with an enemy vessel somewhere in the vicinity. We need to make at least some sort of impulse maneuvers. So let's pull away from this particular portion of space and start to do a low ecliptic orbit around the planet and keep sensors up so we can get better information.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything we can do specifically with momentum on that task. I don't think.
What you could do is you could spend 2 to create another trait. Red alert. And if someone is able to draw on that to assist in their task, it would reduce the difficulty of a task by 1.
Okay.
Good with that. So then it's 2 momentum that's going in the pool.
Okay.
And we'll just abstract that for whatever makes sense for the way that you guys have set yourself up in that low orbit, sensors active.
Yep.
Okay. Then, what do you wish to do next? What's the priority here? You said getting that information?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll be scanning. Are we close enough to scan the planet now?
Yeah, what can we do?
Definitely. So you can scan the planet. Generally speaking, like the sensors on a starship can get like broad information, like about the habitability of it, the presence of large settlements, the makeup of the air, the power sources, things like that. You can't be like, oh, there's 32 people on this thing, or
Yeah, so we can't get a rough sort of population figures or anything like that.
You can. It will just take time. Because, again, the internet on a starship is shit. So...
Yeah, I've been meaning to get that Wi-Fi.
I know. You guys need that signal booster.
Yeah. Because I'd be intrigued how many of the people are still down there. How many have survived what's happened.
Yeah.
Because that, I think, is critical information for the doctor and the captain, obviously. So, can I start a sort of scan of...
Absolutely. Yeah. So this will be an extended task. Let me figure out what it's in. I think it's in the GM's book is where they give good examples of it. Here we go. I tell you, with these Star Trek games, like with the late cycle stuff from Star Trek Star Trek Adventures First Edition, and this one, they've just come up with some really, really good ideas for how to make use of extended tasks, which are at their core, they're kind of like fucking skill checks or skill challenges from Fourth Edition. But man, they've come with some really good innovations of it, like the countdown and like the the reverse one, where you're trying to keep it up so as it ticks down. Great stuff. Okay, speaking of which, I do not see it in here. Or is that not the table I'm looking for? There we go. Game mastering. Extended challenges 329. There we go. All right. Let's set... Ooh, where's it here? Timed, gated, no, not linear. Go. Oh, 271. Hold on. I've been caught in a warp hole, or a wormhole, guys. Going back and forth on extended tasks. Ooh,
of course, having Klingons in system was unvermeidlich. Inevitable.
you've already done better at German than I've ever shown off to Ingolf, and despite me doing a full year of German in college.
I'm glad Ingolf is not here, actually.
I think the most impressive thing I've been able to confidently say to him is potato salad. Because it's my favorite. Kartoffelsalat is the German word for potato salad, and I just love saying it. Okay. So I was trying to get the judge of how difficult, and I'm not finding a lot of insight in here. So let's set it at 15, 1-5.
Okay.
For the trouble track. So, Ensign, what this means is as you're starting your task, if you succeed, you will be getting an effect equal to whatever the relevant department is. And then, Captain Schaefer, this is where your assist can go in. If you want to assist on this, you increase her impact by 1, in addition to whatever your aid might do. Okay. And just like with other tasks, if you reach a halfway point with it, basically, you can get what's called a breakthrough effect, and you can spend momentum on this just like you can on other things, where you spend 2 momentum to increase the impact by 1. So every one you roll on top of this, and the difficulty of this is going to be a 0. So really, like, anything you roll is just going to be gravy you can spend on impact.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll do the coordinated efforts then, with an assist.
And you use the ship's sensors as well. It'd be sensors and computers. Computers? Science. Sensors and science.
Sensors and science. And would that be it's a single die, isn't it?
Single die, yeah. For the ship.
Yeah, well, we could do that for starters. So the ship
contributing 1
gives us 1.
Okay.
So is mine insight science? Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a focus that would apply?
When you attempt a science task related to astrophysics or stellar no, okay. I've got computers, but I guess that's a bit general, isn't it? That's
yeah, that would
really...
be more.
Yeah. No, so I don't think I've got anything applicable here.
Okay.
I'm just going to spend 1 of our... So I get 3 dice instead of...
Okay.
Okay, let's give that a go.
Nice.
That's
so you
not
have
bad.
4 so far. And then Captain?
Yeah, I wonder if I could assist with the con at this point. So as you're undertaking the scan, I'm ensuring that the ship is perfectly aligned to support the scanning systematically across the system to provide the quickest results.
Absolutely. I think
might be control
isn't
and
con
con
your highest department too?
But as it happens, it is.
Yeah, so he's a hotshot pilot back in the day.
Yeah. And I've got... It's not really combat maneuvers, so I think I don't really have a focus for this occasion. And it's 1 die, isn't it?
1 die, that's right.
Yeah, let's go for that.
Nice. So you have 5 momentum in total. And you got 1 still left in the pool. So your science is a 2, unfortunately. So the impact is a 2 plus 1 from Captain Schaefer.
Yeah.
So it's 3 so far. You have 5 momentum in the pool, in your pool, plus 1 in the group pool. Every 2 you spend increases the impact by 1. And if
every 3.
If you
so
get
we've got 6 in total, we could put 3 in.
Yeah.
Yep. And that would put you at 6.
Yeah.
What that would also do is hit a breakthrough.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next progress will. So here are. Ooh, I determine the benefit. Let's see here. +2 impact on your next pass. You've got a great search pattern set up, and you've got a great kind of approach or systemized approach you're doing to the scans. So that'll probably take an hour, in which case you are going to get, while this is still running, you will get some information from the probe. So here's the interesting thing with the survey probe. It may seem as if I'm like trying to hint at it being a spy probe. That's just me being a dummy. That isn't me like intentionally fumbling over words. So I am just fairly thick. So what you can find is the survey probe was actually only down for a matter of maybe a couple of days, and it's actually been up and recording information for months since. It has not been transmitting, but it recovered from the probe much faster than anything. These things are built to be pretty durable and to have pretty robust self-repair systems. You have to, right? If you're leaving in a planet and then zipping off to, somewhere else. So it turns out the thing has pretty much been recording up until the moment you yanked it back in.
Right, so we hit the rewind button.
Okay. Because of course it sounds like a VCR. So here, what you're going to need to do is, fortunately, you do have that work group that Dr. Grax has put together, and with them kind of working ready to start processing this stuff, they can give you a sense of where, what has happened over the last, 8 months, and what the kind of status is right now. That will likely take some time to conclude, but yeah, that's where things are right now. What do you make of that, Captain? This is probably Gaius who's reported this to you.
So it's been up and running. It's not been communicating. Yeah.
It not communicating may be the thing that, if the Klingons are here, they may not have detected it.
No. No, very likely. Which is probably why it's still there.
Correct.
I think otherwise it would not be here.
Dr. Grax's work group is processing the information, but, Captain, it does appear that at least 40% of the land that was occupied has not been suitable for occupation since the probe, the cetacean probe, passed.
It was... The field was a climate field. My assumption is that it was undertaking a controlling influence on the surface in some kind of way to make it habitable.
We have conducted some initial scans on the planet to determine the strength of the field, and it is as we suspected, Captain. We will not be able to you make use of transporters to reach the surface, but a shuttlecraft should have no difficulty passing through, nor a bird of prey. We were scanning the surface in greater detail. There appears to be an island off the coast of the second largest continent on the planet. It seems to be giving off unusual energy readings.
Unusual?
Similar to the wave patterns seen in the field. Whatever power source may have operated the various satellites that maintained the field before the probe, that technology may also be on this island.
That could be a transmitter of some description or a relay point.
There is one other thing, Captain. In our scans for energy, we have detected energy signatures that would be consistent with Klingon disruptors. And it is among the Chemesian. Biosigns run past Dr. Grax have confirmed it is Chemesians who are armed with them.
They've been busy.
If you mean the Klingons or the Chemesians, the answer is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
One or the other. It's time for us to go then. We need a way party.
Captain, I would be happy to accompany you.
Very good. I think the entire command crew should get should go
Fly out of the ship, immediately the thing uncloaks. How'd you guys like the session? Good, yeah?
Yeah, that's good.
Unexpected ending. So obviously one of the concerns is the shuttlecraft do not have shields. So the concern would be the safety of the crew going down Ensign Ventura. This would, as the sort of tactical, officer, that would be a concern.
Did you say that the bird of prey can get through the shield of the planet?
Yeah.
But we can't.
Your ship, Federation starships, generally speaking, are not built to be atmospheric capable. They, notwithstanding some movies and whatnot, and although, fucking Voyager landed on a planet at one point. But I don't recall in the original series or in the films that any of them were atmospheric capable. Birds of prey most certainly are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the danger is, Captain, that obviously we've still got this bird of prey out there. We could limit the danger by getting closer, but even so, it's still high risk in a shuttle.
We don't know where the bird of prey is, do we?
Not as of yet.
Can we attempt another scan of some description?
You can. I do sit on a lot of threat to make that pretty difficult. But, that's why they put ones on these dice, so you guys get 2 successes. So you could. And I can only spend the threat that is available to me, too. If you spend threat to get extra dice, I can't then immediately spend that to make the roll more difficult. Meaning I could make it 3 steps more difficult than what it is currently.
Right.
Okay.
And I think, let me just double check, I think actually difficulty caps out at 5. So it's normally a 3 to detect it, right?
6, wouldn't it?
And you guys have determination as well. So
yeah, I was hoping to save that for something a little bit more apocalyptic. Is there any way we can communicate with the field?
All efforts in the xenoanthropology records that you've received so far have suggested no, but that was before it failed and before it, reached the point that it is at. The sort of decreased.
It would just be interesting to see if we can do anything now. Whether the fluctuations in its capability has in itself changed the nature of the field or changed its approachability to external communication. It's worth just finding out. It would be remiss of us not to at least try and open the door just in case it isn't firmly locked.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
That'd be your comms officer, who we have yet to meet. Who do you think your comms officer is?
All right.
This would be one of your 4 crew you could spend for the... Like in an ongoing campaign, you would be able to do a tribute. You know, when they appear in a session, you can attribute XP to them, and they could advance over time. So in an ongoing campaign in these games, you would be developing all the different NPCs.
Right. Well, in which case, Ensign NTB.
Okay.
NTB, could you undertake a comms connection attempt to field to see if we can establish any form of communication with it? Go gentle.
Do you wish anything beyond just the like the general universal greeting?
Perhaps try to establish that we are here to support the committee.
Okay.
We come in peace. We're here to support the committee and re-establish that which may have been broken.
Okay. So then, I'm just checking here. I think you can give us a 2d20 roll. And I'll tell you what their combined attribute and department is. Here we go. Supporting characters. Assuming this is her highest one, it'll be calm, and I think
I get one on that roll.
Ooh, yeah, that's a 1. Yeah, the department is a 4, so 14 is what you're rolling against. So that is 1. Okay, so she is a she, Ensign and Debbie?
We'll say it is.
Sorry?
It's not. We'll say it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. You're shaking your head as you're saying yes, and I'm like, wait,
sorry.
What's going on here?
I'm just thinking, maybe I've just got Uhura planted in my
for
mind,
sure.
but...
Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. It's funny. My sister has only recently discovered like how progressive the original series was.
Yeah.
And my sister sent me, like, did you know that they had the first interracial kiss? And I'm like,
yeah.
Someone wasn't listening to me when I was talking about Star Trek when I was 14 and you were 13. I'm shocked. Shocked, I say. But yeah, I was like, yeah, that's super cool. We should watch some together. So she's got 1. So that has started. Supporting characters can draw on momentum and can generate momentum just like player characters can as well. But yeah, so she has started that process. What is there anything else that you are going to do in the interim? And I guess beyond the basics of the sort of universal greeting, do you wish to try and call on any of the cultural stuff? You guys do have a pretty, because of how stagnant their language is, it's actually pretty easy to figure it out over the span of 70 years or whatever, what the actual language structure is, even if you're just listening in and knowing it's got similarities to other things. So you could communicate in Khemisi, and do you wish to make use of any of the vernacular that they use to refer when when the Khemisians seem to be interacting with the, dispensary stations? Where they refer to the...
It could be like almost like a propitiation. It's like a
propitiation. That is the word we were looking for. God damn.
That sort of style of communication.
Yeah.
So we are
to the procurator of the compact.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, absolutely. So she's incorporating that into the communications. We will next go to further translation of further assessment of the information by the work group for the next kind of leg of it, and then Ensign Ventura can continue her scan.
Yes.
That work? Okay. So Ensign, what would you care to do?
So this is to continue with the scan, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's insight and science we were doing. Got no momentum at the moment.
I mean, that threat pool's got a lot of way to go still, so, I mean,
Yeah.
Is threat just open-ended? You just pile up as much as
You can get as
you want?
much as you want, but like it gets spent
Wow.
pretty fucking quickly. I've had at most, I think I've mentioned this before, we had just over 50 points in the pool, and it got spent in a big fight in like 2 rounds. The threat it's because like otherwise one thing I really like about this, and then I haven't got it yet, but apparently the Dreams and Machines does the same thing, where adversaries have their own threat pool, so you're never gonna have that situation where like you introduce something that's supposed to be a challenge and you're like, well fuck, I've got nothing I can spend on it. But the kind of thing that we did, like where I can potentially make things, I don't have to bend the rules to affect things like make a ship really hard to find.
Yeah.
So I think it's a ebb and flow of it. But Ensign, do you wish to give me more flow here?
I'm gonna give you another 3.
Another 3? Hot damn.
Wow.
Boy, I'm gonna go on a spending spree. My God. Hold on, I need to add another.
I'm gonna get 4 dice in. I want to try and get this scan well underway, so I'll give that 4 dice.
Hell yeah. And then Captain and the Riel get to roll as well. So you're currently at 4 momentum. Your impact is up by 2 for this. So you got 4 impact.
Okay, so let's do the Riel.
Okay.
Let's see how it does. I'm going to do Senses and Science.
Okay. Nice. Another 1. It's 5 so far. And then Captain. Oh, and you also bump up by 1 too, right?
Right, and Control and Con, which I'll do from here. And another 1.
Nice. All right.
Nice.
So you have 6 momentum, and the impact so far is a 5. So you're actually at 11. Oh, so close.
We're doing well.
Now, I don't want to suggest that we should go for broke and try and beat that record, but you can spend threat for immediate momentum spends. So if you really wanted to complete this task right now, you could spend 6 momentum to get 3 more on it, which would put you at 14, and then you could give me 2 threat to get that last juicy bit.
Generally speaking, you've got to speculate to accumulate. What do you think, Ensign? Do we do it?
Whatever you say, Captain.
Let's do it.
All right. That is another 2. We're at 12. All right. You have completed the scan of the... And like an incredible short amount of time. There's probably, once people dig into the details of the scan, you were just doing a life science kind of, population scan, I assume. The population appears to be roughly half of what it was. So it is 15 billion, which is still a lot for the occupied area. But we're talking about like a, I'd say once in a generation, but like that's not the once in a population kind of event of, just decimation. It's funny. I found this is a non sequitur, but I like the word decimation because it sounds cool. And for every pedantic fuckhead who says like, well, actually, it's only 1 in every 10. Since Victorian era, decimation has meant widespread decimation. Read a fucking dictionary. So
it's like an extinction. It's like an extinction event.
Yeah,
effectively.
Yeah, really. So it's half the population has been affected by this thing.
Okay.
There is further information that Dr. Grax and the work group has to offer as well.
How's it going, Doctor? We need some more from you.
Doctor, we've had xenoarchaeologists, xenosociologists, not archaeologists, xenoanthropologists, xenosociologists, and Dr. Liera assisting, or Ambassador Liera assisting Captain. Am I correct that there are Klingon weapons on the planet now?
There are disruptors.
Captain, it appears that We have yet to discern the specifics, but in the past 6 months, it appears that the Klingons have presented themselves as alternate deities and are seemingly arming and supporting some kind of religious schism on the planet.
Right.
We're still trying to find evidence of the Klingons actually being on, but the details of the scan, it is not ubiquitous, so the likelihood of finding any confirmation, but if the signatures of these weapons are as you say, Captain, they're introducing weapons that are well beyond what anyone else has and arming a religious schism. This is a reformation driven by Klingons.
Yeah.
Captain, I think if there was any question as to whether... This is Ambassador Liera. Captain, I think if there was any question of whether there was strict adherence to the Prime Directive, this clearly goes beyond the non-involvement. Corrective action should be considered. Should you ask for my opinion?
That they were our orders. And I think the appropriate protocols have not been followed for many, many years with regard to this system. Well, in which case we need to intervene. Nothing more on the Klingon vessel itself.
From Ensign Ventura?
Ensign. Yeah.
Oh, no, nothing. And no response from the field as of yet.
No response from the field either. Very well. Does that require us? I think. Are we just down to getting a shuttle down to that island?
The island, if you mention that, it is and has been seemingly viewed always as a forbidden place. It was referenced in it's referenced in the cultural materials dating back tens of thousands of years from the old material, but the sensors were unable to detect what position they were referring to. If you have detected this now, Captain, this may be their forbidden zone.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like the place to go then.
And would the population scans, that wouldn't have detected Klingons from the others, would it? It wouldn't have been able to identify.
If they had happened to sort of like this, scans on the survey probe are detailed enough so you could focus them on a specific area, but it's kind of like, shining a light in the field and trying to catch one specific bug. Because it's just it would have to have been in the lucky place at the right time. And if the vessels were cloaked, then they can remain cloaked while landed as well.
And when we just did our planetary scan, we wouldn't have identified any groups of Klingons or anything from that. That was just a head count. Yeah,
that was advanced life form kind of assessment, and then distinguishing that from any kind of other species that are on the planet. One thing, anyone have any focuses that might apply to the Klingons, just knowing about the Klingons in general?
No.
Not really.
Okay, let me see if the ambassador does. I can't remember what her focuses are. Cultural studies. She'd be rolling 2d6. I mean, you guys can access her character sheet, I guess, as well, so you could just roll from that. I think this is a insight and science roll for her. Insight and security roll for her, actually. And she'd be rolling 2 to start if anyone wishes to add excess. We're at 12 right now. You guys want to go for 15?
I think we're well over we're kind of well over the mark here. It's going to bite hard at some point. Okay, so insight and security.
She's got to focus.
Yeah, she's got to focus
Got
on
to
it.
focus.
Nice. Okay. Captain. Is this her,
Ambassador.
Liera? Kind of like, I'm picturing you guys are over comms right now. You're probably in your ready room. Might we have a word in private?
You know where I am. Come to me.
Thank you very much. And the Denobulans, incidentally, are just like Dr. Phlox from Enterprise is a Denobulan. They're extremely gregarious. They're very nice. You know, they like people. They have marriages that involve like 5 or 6 people, and then also other people are married to each other. So they're very, very much people. Liera arrives up in your ready room, and I guess first off, if there's anything else you wish to talk about up with the whole command crew, kind of on your group call, you're certainly free to do so.
I mean, I think what I'd say is I'd welcome ideas on next steps and approach. My feeling is that we target in some way the field, and that might involve going to the Holy of Holies, the island that's been identified. But I'd welcome other thoughts. That would require a shuttlecraft going down through the field.
Commander Gaius says, Captain, while there is the risk of a shuttlecraft being deployed while there is a bird of prey still present, the field, while not at full strength, will dissipate, or would dissipate, some of the power of either disruptors or photon torpedoes.
Yes.
If it was arranged, well, if the shuttlecraft could reach the field safely, there would be a measure of protection afforded by it, which would only increase the further into the atmosphere you pass.
Then there might be something about the way we deploy the shuttle from the ship. There's an old atmosphere skimming maneuver that I certainly am aware of that might precipitate a speedy entry into the atmosphere for the shuttle.
Lieutenant Jiv says, Captain, I would be happy to be alongside. And Dr. Grack says, Jiv, unless you want to be literally flying blind, that field is likely to interfere with your implants. And he's like, what? And Gaius kind of looks over and is like, I did not. She is correct. And Ziv seems crestfallen. Like, oh, fancy flying finally alongside the fancy flying captain. Not for Ziv.
Fair enough.
But yes, what Dr. Grack says, though, but Captain, am I not correct in thinking that the safest to deploy would be as close to the atmosphere as possible, which would require careful maneuvers?
It would.
Looks over at Jiv, and Jiv has this look of like he's happy, but he knows you're humoring him. So,
I'd like a away team prepared. I've just got to. I'll just be out for a few minutes, but then I want the away team prepared and readied for this. If there's any better or other ideas, then patch them through. But I'll be offline for a few minutes.
Captain, this is Jiv speaking. Ensign Ventura would be an admirable choice for a co-pilot.
Absolutely.
Dr. Grax nods, and Commander Gaius says, I should accompany you, but if I'm needed, like, you see he's really struggling about, like, he does kind of want to check out this. If you guys are going to central command center for this Iconian potentially thing. He really wants to be there. He also doesn't want to leave the Riel behind if it comes under fire. This is a dude who saved the Saratoga.
Exactly.
Crew comes first for him.
Is he the sort of person I'd say, Commander Gaius, you have the con?
He is your first officer as well, so would be appropriate.
So that's what he should do.
That satisfies him. Once he realizes, like, I have a crew to be, of course, then he is like, of course, Captain. And you can see, you hear Dr. Grax's telepathic message. Well done, Eric. She'd always try to keep crew morale up as well. Grax says you should, so the shuttlecraft should have security on board, certainly.
It should.
And I think medical should be on board as well, Captain, but half the planet gone.
Yeah. We should have security, and in Commander Gaius' stead, we should have somebody technical and engineering.
She nods. The work group has turned its mind to relief efforts that we're capable of, and a plan to send back to Starfleet.
Excellent.
Liara has given surprising insight into the phrasings as to how to maximize our efforts while complying with the nuances of the Prime Directive.
Very good.
One thing I should warn, Captain, this island appears to have been, in legendary, the one place where storms manifest. Whether it is a relief valve for the climate control system or was up until that point, in addition to being a forbidden zone, it was quite literally a place no one could reach.
I see.
That has not been the case since this, and now the Klingons have armed fanatics all on that same continent. The scans have been confounded, but it is possible that life signs may, or there may be locals that you will encounter at that island.
Do we have like translators?
Yep.
Now
Universal
keyed
translators.
in with their language.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well,
in this area, it's actually a thing you kind of walk around with too. You have your little like comms as well, but in this area, there is actually a little kind of device you carry around.
Right. Okay. Okay. You wanted to see me, Ambassador?
So yeah, maybe she's at the door, like as you're concluding this meeting. Yeah. She comes in. And
Ensign, could you start to work in an optimal flight path for us to find our way into the system and into the island?
That would be kind of like a naked roll that just generates momentum. So if you want to build up some momentum, Ensign Ventura, difficulty 0, whatever successes you make from this navigation roll will all just go towards momentum. So she comes in, and once everyone has departed, she turns. Captain.
Ambassador.
I did not wish to. The conduct of this mission and the response and safety of the crew is obviously a matter for you, and I wish to speculate on something that I fear is outside of the diplomatic area. And the reason I bring this to you is
I fear it may be something worth considering. Captain, when I was assigned to your vessel, I afforded myself the benefit of reviewing your record. Seems, Captain, you are no stranger to the Klingons.
It's been I have a long service history.
Indeed. Captain, have you known... I was trying to think of this. Do you know the circumstances of the Organian peace treaty?
Do I?
You do. Now, I'm hoping I'm not misremembering this, because I actually didn't look it up beforehand. The Organians are these, like, one of the many god-like entities that are in the Star Trek universe. They... basically, the Federation and Klingon were, like, arming local... Or not, the Federation wasn't doing this, but the Klingons were, like, arming locals to create conflict on this planet to then, like, kind of weaken them, and they were going to take it over. I might be misremembering this. But the Organians are these godlike beings that interfered, and they're the ones who caused sort of a peace between the two warring species and the establishment of the neutral zone between the Klingons
yes.
and things.
Yes, the errand of mercy.
The Captain, this seems a return to the old ways of the Klingons prior to the Organian Treaty. Arming locals who are unsophisticated and relying on them to achieve goals that they could not do themselves. I don't disagree. If they're victims who have been duped into believing their false religion, if they are successful in seizing control of the planet, it seems that they may petition then to be under the protection of the Empire rather than the Federation.
Yes, that's almost certainly the case.
That, Captain, and again, I wish not to speak outside of my area of responsibility, that would be a significant tactical loss, not only in resources on this planet, but also territory. Would you not agree?
Trying to weigh her up. Not what she's saying, because she's obviously saying it truthfully, and he wouldn't disagree with her, but I'm just wondering what her background is and why she's pushing for action.
You can. What are you thinking here? Like an insight, and
I mean, she's obviously got a diplomatic background.
Yeah, and diplomacy does have a degree of practicality, but for most Federation diplomats that you meet, you know, like Sarek, the ideals of the Federation is what leads with that. So I'm going to blow some... The difficulty would be, so it's a gather information. So let me blow some momentum here to make this a little... Here we go. I'm creating a trait here. Inscrutable Diplomat. And we'll make that... Fuck it, let's blow some things. 3. So we'll bring my momentum, or my threat, down to 6.
Okay. Might this be presence, or would it be insight?
It could be, depending on how you're trying to... If you're trying to, like, push her, or, you know, work her with some charm or something like that, or just some force of personality.
I think it might be a sort of I don't force of personality. I'll try and play her game a little bit. And
okay.
Just
what do you think?
So that might be presence and security then.
Yeah, okay, let's try that.
Okay. Do you want any extra dice?
How are we for momentum? It looks like 0, so it would be threat,
zilch.
would it?
It would be threat you give me. Is there any determination you want to spend even?
I've only got 1 point, haven't I, of determination?
Yeah, you already got 1. And then if there is remember, you can generate determination for yourself by challenging one of your values.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
maybe it's challenging we are stronger together.
Yep.
In a way, I'm sort of thinking, well, actually, I'm not seeing much togetherness here. I'm wondering if there's something else at play here that...
Yeah. So what you would do, just so you guys know, like in an ongoing game, you would mark it as being challenged, and then at the end of the session or the adventure, you would look at it and decide whether you reconcile that in such a way that it strengthened it and you put it back on, or you would replace it with a different value reflective of whatever happened to you during the adventure.
Okay. And I will take. So how does that work? Sorry, so having challenged
it
that,
sets one of your dice to a 1 then. So you would just
okay. All right.
And then so that means you're currently rolling 1 dice and you automatically have 2 successes.
All right, and I will take a point of threat to roll 2 dice.
Okay.
And I wonder if I could use the negotiation focus.
Absolutely. Yeah. I buy that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try that.
Look at that. And
Wow.
you got 1. Okay, so this was sort of a gather information thing.
Yep.
Because it costs you 2 per level to get rid of a trait. So like if you wanted to get rid of that trait, it would cost you 6 momentum. But all that does is it just increases difficulty. You've achieved success and you can gather information. But so again, like in an ongoing thing, I'd keep this on the table for her, and every time she comes in, you got this, and maybe you might do something to be like, you know what? I'm going to spend 2 points and I'm going to buy down that inscrutable diplomat a little bit.
Yeah.
So what is your question about her? And then you have 1 more gather information or a momentum to put in the pool.
What is it from you that drives this question?
So if you kind of push it back and forth, she won't obviously answer directly out loud, but the impression you get is that this is her interest is the Federation and the security and stability of Federation. Like,
okay,
she seems friendly and whatever else, but in contrast to other diplomats who put their diplomatic principles and whatnot as kind of the forefront of like serving as examples of how the values of the Federation you can benefit every culture in their mind. What she seems is the Vanguard Initiative personified. Shore up the borders, fix what was, broken by neglect or the interference of the probe or the incursions of the Klingons or combination of all those things.
That's reassuring because I've got no problem with any of that.
Okay, you have 1 more momentum.
Could I just put that into the pool?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. So we've got something to play with.
Okay.
Let's get that away team down there then.
Okay. So then the plan for the away team seems to be to skim the atmosphere with the Riel, deploy the shuttle, and then go down. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys make of the Klingons having not attacked or not done anything yet? Are they waiting to pounce?
Could be. They know that we've got our shields up.
Unless they're trying to turn the people against us as the aggressors or something. maybe.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah.
If we tried to take action, which is un-Klingon-like, I would have said, but
They could easily have manoeuvred into a position where they could strike. And they haven't done so.
or they're waiting for us to do something that makes us weaker in a,
They would likely. The Riel has been around since the Federation Klingon War. They're likely they likely have full briefings available of your capabilities. As far as the atmospheric capabilities, they might know that you need to get a shuttlecraft down.
Yeah.
And they might realise that ship on ship, they might not be able to compete.
Yeah,
and they might be waiting for backup.
That's the thing. Like the bird of prey is most definitely a more recent development. It is a more current technology. But the Malachowski always packed a good punch, and it's a refit. So they may also just be uncertain as to what the capabilities of this thing. The Malachowski was a warship. It wasn't like some of the other Federation vessels where it's a exploration vessel or whatever, science vessel. So, who's going to be on the crew then, or the away team?
Definitely Ensign Ventura.
Yeah.
Definitely the captain.
We think 2 red shirts.
Yeah.
Okay. There's 2 more of your crew. You have 1 crew in reserve still, because you've introduced Ensign Naive. Or Entebbe.
Yeah.
We need an engineer of some sort.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Okay. 2 red shirts and an engineer. Any thoughts on the species for the engineer? So, if you're not familiar with Star Trek ones, common ones are Andorians, Tellarites, Vulcans, Centaurans, because Alpha Centauri was a separate settlement in this. Who also had been around? The Betazoid, the Trill, I can't remember if they're called the Cadians, but there's like cat people. Any of that appeal?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you reckon, Darren?
Well, it's not Star Trek without a Vulcan somewhere in the mix.
I'd wondered. Yeah.
Okay, so a Vulcan engineer. You have a name in mind? They tend to be singular. With if not, I can just look up a list of Vulcan names. Hatok. Sounds great. Okay, and so that would probably be lieutenant, I guess.
Right.
Either ensign or lieutenant. So you got your red shirts on board. You got your. I mean, you guys are all wearing maroon monster uniforms, so I guess the red shirts just got to make sure you put an extra sign on them. And then Hatok is joining you as well. It'll be Jiv making the attempt to kind of skim. Let me see about the shuttlecraft too, because I think you'll be able to rely on even the small craft. You can use them to help. And Ventura, we didn't make your. We need to get some momentum in that pool with your flight path.
Yeah. So what would it be? Control, con, or how'd you do the?
Yeah, probably. I buy that. The actual flying is going to be daring, but.
And it's not astronavigation. That's like planetary stuff, is it?
It is. Yeah. Technically, it's planetary navigation.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'll just go with 2 dice. See how we get on.
Okay.
I've got no focus then. That's not bad.
That's all right. There's 2 momentum in the pool.
Okay. I'll add that on.
Here we go, shuttlecraft. Okay. So the aiding is not going to be incredible. It'll be comms 5 and Wait, is that right? I think it's Cons 5 and Con 1, so it's a 6 or less on the shuttlecraft. This is not the most responsive of vehicles, but that's only for assisting. So, I think let's do this So I'll set the difficulty for this at. I think it'll be a 4 net, because there's a lot of moving parts in this thing to get it out of the shuttle bay, to get it out of the shield at the right time, but do it fast enough to not leave yourself exposed. But we'll start with Jiv's con and what would be the other one? Oh, con and daring for sure. And let's see here.
He's got helm operation.
Sounds good.
Yeah, helmsman. When you succeed in a con task to pilot a starship, you generate 1 bonus momentum to be used on the task, and that'll be for yours as well. So he'll gain 1 extra momentum on top of whatever you roll. So this is sort of a extended task type thing. Who would like to roll for Jiv, and is he getting any extra dice from this?
Go on, Dan.
I've got him ready. He's pretty good at this, so let's give him an extra dice, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
We'll go up to 3 dice. Okay, let's roll that.
That is 6 momentum in total you have generated from that maneuver. So you have... okay, so here's an example. Here's a conundrum you're in and an example you can use. You currently will have... He generated 6. You guys can't have more than 6 in your group pool. You have 2 in your group pool right now, which means you have 2 that is probably going to go to waste. Unless you spend 2 for Jiv's task to create a trait. So for instance, maybe there's a thing like optimal positioning. Or whatever you want to create it. That would be a trait you could then take advantage of for the second half of it and bank 6 momentum into the pool. That would push that difficulty 4 down to a 3 with a trait. What do you think?
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. I mean, that's what he was trying to do, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What's the trait?
I mean, optimal positioning sounds great. I mean, it's perfect entry.
Okay. So then that leaves you with only a difficulty 3 you are rolling against, and you have 6 momentum in the pool.
Okay.
We got 6, so might as well spend 3 of that.
Yeah.
To get it 2 extra dice.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 4 dice. So this is daring we're going with, is it? Daring con?
And is Captain, are you helping?
Yes, I shall assist.
Okay, so same thing. You'll be using daring and con.
Okay.
Either of you have focuses that'll apply.
Small craft.
Hell yeah.
Oof, that's good. Yeah, I haven't got any focus on this one, so... Oh, nice.
That is a net of 2 momentum, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is. It's 5,
Okay.
isn't it?
So there is a flash of the ship going down. You appear. And let me see here, guys. Oops, wrong thing. Madison, come on. So unfortunately, I don't have an actual individual image listed of it other than a thumbnail, but I trust you'll appreciate the thumbnail of which uncloaks. As you're leaving, the Klingon score kicks in really loud as you guys hit the atmosphere. It begins kind of shaking, and it fires bolts at you guys. And before not even close to hitting with you guys, and the disruptor bolts dissipate as they are entering the atmosphere and hitting that shield. And before the Riel can return fire, effectively, cloaks once again. I'm going to have to seize initiative to do that. So I'm going to blow...
Wow.
2 initiative to get that, and I'll also blow...
There they are.
For my surprise attack here. So there we go. So they are definitely here. They are definitely watching, but you guys have executed a perfect maneuver. So, what's the mood like in the shuttle pod? And I'll point out on the Enterprise, they typically, at least on the original Enterprise, I can't remember if it's on the Enterprise D, they did this too. They named their shuttlecraft after astronomers. So each ship has kind of its own customs for naming it. What are the shuttlecraft on the Riel named after? If it helps the line itself, remember the Malachowski are typically named after indigenous leaders.
What about provinces? Could we do provinces or rivers?
Sure. Like anything, engineers love a good kind of consistent joke. So, you know, if you want to have something where it's like it's the Amazon or it's the Nile or it's the Thames or whatever on board, then yeah.
I'm just thinking maybe rivers of Manitoba.
Sure.
So
the Red or the Assiniboine?
Red River or Nelson River, perhaps.
The 2 big ones. Little Manitoba trivia for you. The center of Winnipeg basically is a place called the Forks, and it's because it's where 2 rivers meet, the Red River and the Assiniboine River. It was traditionally a meeting spot for First Nations folks, which became a fur trading post, which became
there you go.
My hometown.
That sounds perfect, then.
So are you aboard the Assiniboine or are you aboard the Red?
I think the Assiniboine.
Okay. So.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fucking cool. We're getting our Canadian content in today. So CRTC, here I come. So as you guys are in the shuttlecraft Assiniboine and it's rocking as you guys are going down, between the 2 of you, you have absolute control over this. And so you are heading directly down towards that place. What's the look on the captain's face as Ventura looks over?
He's not quite asleep, but it's like, it's like absolute resolute calmness.
Okay. What's the look on?
I'll probably look over and just smile and say, this is
this is a somebody wake up Hicks situation.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit like that. He just says, well, you just say weird is part of the job.
What about Ventura? What's the look on her face?
Yeah, she'd still be excited. She'd probably just got off the comms with Shiv, nice maneuver, and they're sort of congratulating each other as we pulled off the thing.
I think you hear once again a woohoo! That's you seems that you've done it. And it's just great maneuver too, Ventura.
Yeah. And keep them off our back.
Oh,
something like that.
If they see us again, if we see him again, we'll give him a reason to stay away. And then Commander Gaius says, Lieutenant Jiv, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but perhaps we could keep the comms free while the Klingons are around.
Yeah.
And Commander Gaius says, Captain, any difficulty with entry?
Absolutely. It was a perfect entry.
Excellent. Then we will look forward to, and that's when you guys hear there is a white flash.
Yeah.
And allow me to get one thing set up here. And, oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, I think this is it here. Okay. And let me grab... Oh, where are you guys? Oh, you're on the planet, of course. So it is the two of you and the two red shirts. Who suddenly find yourself not aboard a shuttle, but standing in a sweltering tropical environment, heavy air, the smell of the jungle would hit you. That rot and growth and flowers and animals, and this enormous structure in front of you.
Bemärkenswert.
This happens almost immediately after, like, when you say your weirdest part of the job line, and then and she says, Captain, and that is when you hear your first Klingon curse. As a Klingon draws a disruptor and points it at you. Let me show you what you see here.
Oh, dear.
There is one here.
Oh.
There are two minions. Not minions, but necessarily, but two, like, guys not wearing the captain's kind of robes. And Klingon woman.
With a knife.
Bataka, I think it might be called.
Uh-huh.
So he points the pistol at you. Now, in order to do this, I do need to spend at least one momentum to seize the initiative, because otherwise you guys go first.
Right.
But I think you'll be okay with my momentum spend, because what you hear is that kind of like where there's no power in it. Ah! He looks at it and curses. Guys, we're in a conflict right now. It appears as if his disruptor has no power. So, the way the conflicts work is that you guys get to go first, unless I spend threat. And guys, I'm out of threat. Oh, but he has individual threat. Hold on. But I've already spent this once. I don't think I can do it twice in a row. So, who would like to go? It is a... Oh, and if you want to see what your minor, major actions are, the actions cheat sheet has that stuff on it.
It does.
Mm-hmm. So to be clear, he has gone as well, so he will not be able to go again.
It's the classic 1-2, isn't it? Aim attack.
And it's, yeah, very much so.
Do you have to draw weapons first?
Oh, right, yeah.
And you can spend 2 momentum to take a... Wait, it's saying it's 1 momentum to get a swift action and 2 to get a major action.
Well, minor actions draw items, so I assume that's a weapon.
That's right, if you want to draw a phaser.
Yeah.
Would it be our security that would do that?
Yeah, if you want to let one of the security guards go first, they would draw it.
I don't know.
So they draw, and again, no power in the phaser.
Oh, okay. Right.
I get to go with someone. Never let it be said that a Klingon will not will lack in determination. A second one, and fires.
Okay.
Does nothing.
Looks like that sharp pointing knife looks like a good idea right now.
One of you guys gets to go.
Can we get an engineer try and work out what's affecting the phase and try and...
I mean, you got 2 security officers with you, and you've got you 2. The engineer hopefully is behind the stick of the shuttlecraft, because you guys certainly are not.
All right, yeah, he's still up there. Yeah.
Can I karate chop one of them then?
If we cut back to the shuttlecraft, you very briefly see the Vulcan. Most unfortunate, as the shuttlecraft is rocking around. So, what were you saying? You want to karate chop him?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So, like an attack is. Let me tell you what the effect of that will be, or the damage. It is. Here we go. After the ships, it's in the. Here we go. Medical babble. Love it. Love it. Here we go. Here we go. So combat. All right. So to attack is on page. Oh, there's an attack handout too. Here we go. Boom.
Oh my goodness! Right.
Yeah. So the attack would be a melee attack that is difficulty 1 is resisted by daring and security, and the damage for unarmed is, where is it here? Is that in equipment?
This might not be a very wise thing for me to do. I don't know.
Let's see here. Oh, you did serve during the TOS era, so like you're ready to, double hand overhead chop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, where is... Here we go. Unarmed strike does 2 damage. And it's a stun.
Okay.
Which means it... Oop.
Do we have any momentum?
You have 5 right now.
Yeah,
I'll take 1 then.
Okay. I have 0 threat, so I can't resist with a substantial amount. Are you going after one of the captains? Or I'll get stupid handout in your face there, guys. One of the side chumps, one of the captain, or the Klingon woman?
I'll maybe take one of the side ones.
Okay. That there is kind of a minion mechanic in this, in like minor NPC, notable NPC, and major NPC kind of thing.
Does combat maneuvers work as a focus, or is that for something else?
Yeah.
Is that more sort of fleet tactical rather than punching somebody?
It's probably more combat tactical, but I mean, like if you can spin it for something, I'm happy to accept it.
Okay, well, I'm going to undertake a Karishi maneuver, which is going to take me to their flank, and I'm going to execute it very quickly, as is the form. I'll grab for that and see how I do.
Okay. Oh, and I got to roll for him here. Here we go. Holy smokes, Captain! All right, so you got 3. So you got 2 momentum right now. Let me roll for him. I'm just trying to remember if. Can't remember if minor NPCs only roll 1 dice or if they roll 2. I'll roll 2 for them right now, and if I'm making this harder than necessary, then, I don't know, write me an angry email later. So, all right, so he has... It's... daring and security to resist. Okay, so daring and security. Here we go. I succeeded once, so you still have 1 momentum. So success and 1 momentum. It is 2 momentum to up the damage, but you do 2 points of damage.
Okay.
And what is his? Protection is 1. And a minor NPC. So let's see here. I think he is kaput. He cannot avoid injury.
Do I need to do 5 stress for injuries? Does it work that way in this game?
I'm trying to remember. Because the way it works is it's actually a little different. Like they some adversaries have stress, and they use the stress to avoid taking, like the way your guys work. You take stress to avoid taking an injury.
Right.
But otherwise, they take an injury of 2 of whatever the value of the damage is, as opposed to, the way that injuries work in the old one. But I'm trying to remember. So he's got a protection of 1, which, let's see here. Stress and avoiding injuries. If you're a character wearing armor with protection, reduces severities by 1, so you get a 1 point on him. And let's see. NPCs is opposition. A minor NPC is instantly defeated upon taking any injury. So you run forward. Tell us what this badass, Schaefer punch is that knocks this one guy out.
It's a classic sort of, he swings the sort of butt of his disruptor pistol at me and opens himself up, and I just I sort of take him sort of square between the eyes with a sort of punch, and he just relaxes down.
Yep, and that is 1 unconscious Klingon. Ugh. Now they get to go. The second one is going to minor action to draw his the Tog.
Oh, great.
And he is going to try and stab you. So this is also a contested. You can give us a daring and security check. It's funny. Every time I say that, I keep thinking of daring and security check. So,
if I'm okay, I'll take another momentum, just 1. So
yeah, I got 2 successes. So I've got 1 success and 1 momentum. Oh, no, the challenge dice. Challenge dice don't exist in this game.
Not
at least in 2nd edition.
I clicked the wrong thing. I need to go up by about 5 millimeters.
There we go. Nice! See, negate is hit. Now, that's the reason I say nice, because you could spend 2 momentum to counterattack after you suffered inflicting an injury upon the person who attacked you.
So I think I catch the weapon, spin it round, and plunge it back into him.
Yeah. Oh! So that is... Ooh. So if you're using a lethal attack, I do get 2 threat.
Okay.
So...
well, I've probably done that then, I think.
Okay. It's sort of like a reverse Krug, I think they call that. So he is... I'm really fucking stretching for my Star Trek references right now. Like, Kev, really? One thing where a minor character dies in Star Trek 3? Fuck off. All right. Then it is... One of you guys gets to go. Ventura, it's you or one of the red shirts?
I'm no good. Well, I'm better with phasers, so maybe the red shirts, are they... Hope they're good at combat.
They have a total of 14 in security and daring.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's give one of them a go.
Okay. So they have 2 dice, and you guys have 1 momentum right now.
1. Oh, right.
Well, it costs 2 to reverse that action, didn't it?
For the counterattack?
Did it?
Yeah, the counterattack.
Oh, I see,
That's only
yeah.
when,
Oh.
because the 2 that you generated in that task, I assume you spent that to counterattack.
Right.
Okay. And
Oh,
then,
yeah, so that would mean we've still got the 3 then, sorry. I took up, because you generated an extra 2, did you?
oh, sorry, yeah, there was 2 from the task. Yes, you got 3
in
right
which case,
Ah,
in
right.
which case, speculate.
Yeah, so you could throw 4 dice at him if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah. I think you might need to.
now. Okay.
Let's finish this off. Let's get it finished.
Yeah, let's try and...
Yeah.
I'm going to use 1 threat to add to this Klingon lady. Hold on, she's got 3 threat herself. Guys,
Ow.
let's fucking dance. Come on.
Ah.
All right. So go ahead and give us your 4d20 roll. You're rolling against a 14. Ooh. Didn't do great. I only got 3.
Come on.
Okay, 4d20.
Oh.
That's only 2, isn't it?
That's only 2. So I negate this success. I've got 1 momentum, and I'm going to spend my last remaining threat in her personal pool to counterattack. And unfortunately, your red shirts are minions as well, which means as soon as they suffer a wound, they go down. Yeah! That one is dead.
No.
Then it is her turn. She turns to you, Ventura, and runs in and is going to try and get you. I actually only have 1 momentum or 1 threat left, so let's take that. And Ensign, you're going to roll security and daring on your defense.
Okay.
Do you wish to give me any threat for... I can't spend that on this roll afterwards, but do you wish to give me...
I'll give you 1 and I'll roll 3 dice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got 3 successes.
Oops, no, I only got 1.
So she hits you with... Dagger does 2, and I've got no momentum to go with. So you can either take 2... an injury 2, or you can just take 2 stress.
I'll take the stress for now.
Probably a good plan.
Yep.
Okay, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Injuries, all right. The exact injury is a trait. When you suffer an injury, you may avoid injury by taking stress. Yeah, it's not an action. It used to be an action in first edition. Yeah, awesome. So there you go. So you duck back. Then I think, Ventura, you're the only one left to act here.
Yeah. Okay, so she's basically engaged with me, so I guess I'm going to have to swing at her.
Gosh.
So it's just the same back, isn't it? Daring and security.
Any determination that might come into play here?
Some things don't deserve forgiveness.
She did just murder one of the crew members. I absolutely buy that would be a way of spending determination.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay. So you're rolling, currently you have 2 successes and you're rolling 1 dice. I'm spending my threat, so I will be rolling 3 dice.
Did you only roll 1 in combat then?
No, I rolled 2.
I mean, yeah, but I roll. Oh no, because I've already
because
rolled
you set that 1 with determination.
Yeah.
You still can spend or give me threat to gain extra dice. I can't spend it on her roll.
I'll give you 1 threat.
1.
I'll roll 2 dice plus
well worth it.
2 dice. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let me roll my Kirk dice here. She gains.
Well done.
Yeah, that's good.
Get 2.
So that's 4 in total.
4 in total, which is fucking great because I think I might have rolled 3 here. I just need to total up her daring and security is 14. I got 3 successes. You got 4 successes, which means you hit her. And notable NPC, can she suffer? Ooh. She can, once per scene, avoid injury by spending threat equal to the severity of the injury.
Oh.
Your severity of your injury from an unarmed strike? Dos. How much do I have left in my threat pool? Uno. What's it look like as Ventura is scratched by this Klingon and then takes her out?
Yeah, I think it'd be some sort of martial arts sort of move she got in the academy.
Yeah.
And it's some sort of horrible chop to the neck or something, some sort of Vulcan move or something.
She is Brazilian.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it could be
any sort of,
jiu-jitsu?
yeah, any sort of martial art thing mixed in with what she learned at the academy, yeah.
Is she unconscious or is she dead?
I just don't know if she'd be tough enough to put her down in one hit like that.
So the Klingon do have a secondary circulatory system as well as some other things called a Braklul.
Yeah, I think she'd have just knocked her out.
Okay.
I mean, she'd have been really mad and trying to knock her head off, but I don't think she'd got quite the strength.
So yeah, like an elbow to the temple or something like that, and she is down. Then that brings us to the end of the current round. And that is when you hear a voice call out as a bright light flashes between those 2 pillars, and something held aloft by an unknown or unseen, I should say, force hovers there. And it quickly introduces itself. That is who hovers above you. And says in a strangely accented alien language, which I will not give accent to because it's gonna sound kind of racist if I did. What it says is, actually that's not true. I'm probably going to try and attempt a British accent, so I do apologize to both of you for being racist to you. When are ultra powerful evil characters in sci-fi not equipped with a British accent? I ask you. So what he says is, cease your conflict on the order of the procurator. He did actually fumble for his title. He forgot it as well, so that was in. The remaining Klingon turns, and he says, I am Gronak of House Drukak. Release us! Release me! And the procurator says, you are interlopers. You are not of the compact. You have attacked the compact, damaged our protections, and slain many of the compact. Who are you, small things? And the Klingon captain, I mean, sheepishly is like, I'm Gronak of House Drukak. Like, did you hear what
I am Captain Eric Schaefer of the Federation. We are here to re-establish the Procurator and to support the compact and to heal the damage that has been done to you and to them.
Captain Gronak charges forward towards the Procurator and says, "No! They lie! They are responsible for the damage to your compact. Them and their genocidal ways." The Procurator looks down with that one eye and the kind of floating quasi-tentacle things around his head. He looks over at you. "Schaefer, is this true?" And Captain Gronak, if you pause for a moment, continues on. "It was their genocide of another species on their planet that drew this harm to you. And then they slew it and have come here to slay you and your kind. The blood of the compact is at their feet."
The Procurator and compact has been under the peaceful protection of the Federation's space for more than a century. This peace has been disrupted, and I use my words advisedly, by the Klingon presence here who wish to steal power from the Procurator and to end...
Captain Gronak, "Lies! Federation lies!" And at this point, well, first off, let's see how you're doing here. So why don't you...
Help.
I think, no, you're doing pretty, like, you're going to reduce the difficulty by, I think, Captain Gronak has made things a little challenging for you, so we're probably at about a 3 right now. But you're doing a good job of framing that stuff. So I think there's probably a trait here of like olive branch that you can bring it down by 1. So it's a 2 you're rolling against. What are you thinking of rolling to pacify here? And Ventura, you can feel free to try and assist with whatever you're saying. Your red shirt will not be able to help you because he's trying to see if the other red shirt is dead or not.
I think Schaefer's probably thinking sort of very, very quietly to himself, if only I could just punch the Procurator, it would go down so much better. And where is Liera when I need her? I would say, what do you think? I'm trying to evoke maybe presence in terms of the presence of Starfleet and our history.
That's a funny point. Don't you have a trait that's Starfleet?
It's a promise.
So you
Starfleet is a promise.
that is a value of yours, but you actually have a trait of Starfleet as well. Now your value could be used to spend determination if you've got it, but the trait can be used to reduce difficulty as well.
I've got Starfleet officer.
Yep. So if you're evoking Starfleet, that to me sounds like you're applying that trait. You got a difficulty 1.
Right.
How much
would it be?
Do you have another point of determination?
I do. I'll spend it. This is definitely the moment I was waiting for. I'll spend it.
So that means you're rolling currently 1 dice. You currently have 1 momentum, regardless of the outcome. You have also 1 momentum in the pool.
I'll spend it.
Ventura could assist you as well.
So I'm rolling 2 dice, and I get some help from you. How do you help, Ensign?
That's a good question. What have I got? Have I got anything?
I'm picturing you're sort of like, also just having dropped this adult Klingon woman, you just, adjust your tunic, Picard style. Like, all right.
I think I would just sort of stand next to the captain in like solid.
Solidarity.
That's the word I was trying to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to show.
We're all struggling with them today, so but
It's
through
late over
teamwork.
just to sort of show a unified sort of approach. And
Is that your presence then?
Yeah, I think probably like presence and command, maybe.
yeah, and I would just say something like the Klingons have always been a warring race, looking to stop our good work that we're doing here with your people. And I'll just stand by the side. So yeah, presence command, not very good at that, but
Go ahead.
I'll
No
give
focus
it a
that
go.
applies. Any focus that applies?
No, not in this one.
Okay.
No, unfortunately. It's only one dice, isn't it? So it's just whether I aid or not.
There you
I've
go.
got one, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have 2 momentum right now. You have 4 momentum right now.
Nice.
So, Captain,
Nice.
you were saying you currently have a success and 4 momentum to blow. A
Wow.
reminder, costs 2 to create a truth if you like.
The truth is, Starfleet is to be trusted.
Okay. You have 2 momentum left over, which could go in the pool. What do you say?
Let us right the wrongs that have been done here and support the compact before there is any more loss of life. And we are here to protect and preserve you, as is right.
That big central eye is kind of looking at you. This one claims genocide by your people.
That is not true. His people have come and disrupted the harmony and order of this world with no care for the history of the compact.
Turns and he considers. Alterations have been made. Who, and you can see, you look over for a moment, the look on the Klingon's face, realize there may have been some help in getting this shit back up and running, and the Klingon may have done something that this thing, the procurator, just figured out.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of stands back, and he brings the disruptor up before, I mean, it didn't work last time. Why he would think it would work this time is just a demonstration of his futility. And he gestures back, and there's sort of a whoo, 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 and each one of the Klingons, dead and alive, vanish. And he turns back to you, Schaefer, and Ventura. The compact has been broken.
Compromised.
What would you and your Starfleet do to restore the compact?
It is our belief that your culture, procurator and compact, should not be compromised and should continue peacefully, and that we would protect that peace so that you may continue to flourish, and that we would establish with you, both compact and procurator, a line of communication to further ensure your prosperity as you would wish, out and into the future, as you have been so used to in your past.
He stops and thinks, or seems to, at least from the way his eye sort of twitches. There are many here who have broken with the compact. Our people. He looks at you. We have changed. He speaks of it or enunciates it in such a way, it's like someone, confirming a terminal diagnosis. There's that level of anguish that's carried in his voice.
We would support you in being able to repair any damage. And we have capabilities of our own which might support you in the future. What we would not do is presuppose or presume a solution to your future. That is one that we would support you in discovering.
He stops and thinks. Who are your people?
We are many. We are stronger together, he said, quoting one of his values. We are made up of many stars and many peoples who work together for peace and prosperity.
He stops, and those things that are moving around his head seem to slow. You are not of the compact.
No.
Then the procreator must also change. I must contemplate my role. But since we cannot help the compact, we will let you do what you can to reforge the compact.
We have already prepared possible help for that. We simply await your instruction to do so, which I believe you have given.
He sort of half bows to you, and then there's sort of on your comm unit, you can hear Lieutenant Commander Gaius, or Commander Gaius. Captain?
Yes.
Captain, the field appears to have gone down, and we have detected the Klingon bird of prey. It is proceeding at maximum impulse out of system.
Understood. We have been given leave by the Procurator, the field generator, to provide all support to this system and this people.
Captain, it appears the field itself has ceased functioning.
Oh, I see. I think I've just killed a god.
If you look, the Procurator kind of nods towards you, and he, in a flash of light, disappears.
Yeah.
Has that had any effect on the weather? This field going down?
Not really, no.
It's stabilized.
Yeah. So, guys, why don't you tell us how this episode ends?
Well,
We end with you aboard the Riel. Are
Yeah.
we leaving you on the beach? What did we... Getting an update on the... What do you call it? The
what do you
relief
think?
efforts?
No, I wonder if we're back on the Riel. And there's a long shot of the horizon of the planet, and then what you see sort of thumping out of warp space is a whole series of Federation support vessels.
Yeah. Ventura?
Yeah, I think. I think it's the. Well, Ventura would want to get involved in the re-education. Like they'd be sending diplomats down and trying to explain to them what's happened, basically, that these Klingons have tried to trick them and basically take away their resources and things, and just try and explain what's been going on, and re-educate the people, try and get this rebel sort of faction like sorted out with them. So it'd be, I think, quite a long process, but gradually just people being introduced and building a relationship between, just the first one shuttle, almost like first contact, first few people.
So what you would find as well is that there is a fair amount of, in addition to the medical relief efforts, which are huge here because it's a massive population, there's also a large contingent of first contact teams that are arriving. And while the Riel is needed for a couple of weeks here to ensure that the Klingons do not return, unfortunately, the Vanguard Initiative has a lot of planets that require a lot of need, so it is not long before word reaches you. In those several weeks, there's not a single peep from the Procurator, nor any indication that the field will come back active again. But Captain Schaefer, will it shock you to learn that Professor Kyle is going to be involved with the team that will be investigating the Keynesian ruins to determine if there's any connection with the long-lost Iconians.
Oh, yeah.
Then, with that, with Ventura having to leave this massive undertaking behind, with all of you back on board the Riel, and with the Riel setting course for its next destination, and then streaking into warp speed, we bring our tale to an end. So the Adder of Camlann was the name of today's adventure. For those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for this one-shot of Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the game, or the adventure we played, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where we have channels dedicated to most of the games we run on the channel. Not Star Trek Adventures as of yet, but we do have an assorted games channel where we have talked about it in the past, and we have channels dedicated to most of the other games and campaigns we run on the channel, as well as finding a group, GM discussion, lots of great stuff. There's great people over there, helpful, knowledgeable, and friendly, so you are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have an incredible selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. If they don't have something in stock that you're looking for, you can put it on a want list, and they'll send you an email when it comes in. And if you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, enter the code MuserFrost, all caps, all one word. It's in the description down below, and you'll save yourself 10% on your purchase. That'll change as of January 15, 2025. So if you're listening to us to this after that time, come back to one of our more recent videos and you'll see what the current discount code is there. There's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages. That is one of the charity campaigns we run on the channel. I am also currently, if you're curious as to what my face looks so fucking stupid, or at least stupider than normal, my dirtbag stash is because I am participating in the Movember event. We don't have a fundraising going on the channel for it, but if you are, there we go. Yeah, if you want to support the Movember charity in support of Men's Health, Physical, and otherwise, the Movember organization in each of the countries is active, is a terrific organization. I'm sure you know somebody who's doing it. If you want to make a donation, donate through their initiative. It'll all go to the same place. Our Hero Save Villages campaign benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, an incredible organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children. All donations through that link go directly to them. And if you have donated $25 or more since the start of the year, we're asking the generous donors to help us organize our last couple of mashup sessions. We are taking, in the last half of the year, classic adventures or campaigns, mashing them up with games that are not designed to be played with, and then playing sessions with them. Upcoming next weekend is our mashup of the classic Pathfinder First Edition Rise of the Rune Lords adventure, and we're mashing it up with Zweihander. We'll be playing, right now we have voting going on for the iconic Pathfinder characters that will make up our party. So if you have donated $25 or more, head on over to the Charity Initiatives channel on the Dungeon Musings Discord server, link down below, and cast your vote. We'll have one more final charity mashup. That'll be with Ken Height's outstanding Dracula Dossier campaign. We have 4 great options for donors who will also be able to vote on that. Speaking of great people, the last thing I will say is a huge thank you to Graham and Darren for playing today. So thank you guys. This was really an excuse to kick the tires on this new one, to try and run something that was more something I bashed together instead of just a pre-made adventure, and I cannot tell you how much it exceeded my expectations. It was so much fun to run this, and the unexpected opportunities that you guys gave for, like, oh yeah, that's cool, let's do that, was enormously fun. So thank you very much, guys, for playing today.
Thank you.
Cool.
I expect we'll be back in the Final Frontier sooner rather than later, but until that time, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that the crew of the USS Riel is encountering while undertaking their Vanguard initiative. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.